Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure. Yeah.
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs for caring for your home. Out. Indecision, overthinking, second-guessing every choice you make. In. Plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out. Beige on beige on beige. In. Knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
This week in Northport, New York, the location of a dead body is no secret because every teenager in town knows. But the tale of how this all came to be is a strange, twisted, and gory path. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you, folks, a immense amount for joining us today. We have an absolutely insane episode today. As I say that every week, we have an episode of Small Town Murder for you this week, and it's crazy as usual. So I'll get through that quickly. Top of the show, your reviews help. Thank you for those. Appreciate them. Whatever app you're listening on, 5 stars is very helpful. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com immediately. Get all of your merchandise. Get all of your tickets to live shows.
Oh, they're happening.
They're happening. A couple weeks from now, we're going to be in Minneapolis and Chicago, and there is like a few tickets left for those people who couldn't make it, return them. They bought them 2 years ago, so there's like 50 tickets left for each of those, and you know those are big theaters, so not a lot left. Get those. And Columbus and Pittsburgh in April, that's coming up. Few tickets left there, so get those tickets now. Sell these joints out and have a good time. We can't wait for that. Patreon is cooking. We'll tell you what. Patreon is cooking good, too. We're cooking right. Oh, by the way, there's a new Roustabout T-shirt up on the site, too, there for shutupandgivememurder.com, which is great if you listen to the Patreon episode. Patreon.com/crime and sports. This week, anybody $5 or above, as you know, you get access to everything. Crime and sports bonus, small town murder bonus, the whole back catalog, 100-something episodes, all sorts of stuff.
So much.
So much. This week, we have a couple of great episodes. First of all, for crime and sports, we have the worst contracts in sports history.
Yeah.
And this is where we always say crime and sports, we thrive. Failure is where we thrive. And this is failure on everybody's part. Failure to live up to things, failure to have good business sense and not give someone $100 million who doesn't deserve it. It's hilarious all the way around. And then small town murder, we did one that we've gotten so much feedback on with really good stuff here. It's BTK killer. Yeah. Obviously, and we do that, but it's his own words, not only his killing description, but his mentality, how he thinks of things in his own words. So not just what a psychiatrist would, project onto it, but what he's saying. So whether he's telling the truth or lying or whatever, you can tell a lot from that. It's very crazy.
His words are the equivalent of like post-vomit burps. They're
And if you ever want to have Disneyland ruined for you, there you go. You won't want to go there anymore. Listen to that episode. Find it all at patreon.com/crime and sports. And like we said, $5 or above, anybody's going to get everything. And you're going to get a shout out at the end of the show because, damn it, we appreciate you. So thank you. If you just want the shout out and very good karma, you can go to PayPal, use our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com, and do the same. Disclaimer. It's a comedy show. We're comedians. This is a comedy show. That said, everything is real. It's not like we're, making stuff up for comedic effect. These are scarily real, all these stories, every damn last detail. And the jokes, what's funny about murder, as we've been asked on television before. What's so funny about murder? Well, the actual murder part, an actual killing isn't that hilarious at all, obviously, but the stuff around it a lot of times is. People, their ideas of how they can get away with murder when cops screw it up when they're, talk to the same guy who killed 12 people 5 times and they're like, I don't know, Bob seems okay to me. There's some humor there. So what we don't do, we go out of our way not to do, is we don't make fun of the victims or the victims' families.
Why, James?
Because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags. That's how that works. That's how you do this in a nice way. So there you go. That sounds good to you. Crazy story. We're going to have fun. You think true crime and comedy should never go together. I don't know what you're thinking. First of all, I don't know how you can get it down otherwise. Honestly, I don't want somebody breathlessly going, and then her head was cut off her body. That sounds like you're a little too into it.
Yeah, you're really swallowing that one whole.
Yeah, let's go ahead and mitigate this situation with a little humor, if you know what I mean. So for everybody who wants to do that, let's sit back, clear the lungs, and shout, "Shut up!
Shut up! And give me murder."
Let's do this, Jim. You were like a second behind me on that one. You were started late. Let's do this. Let's go on a trip.
I had to clear the lungs. Don't tell me what to do if you don't want me to do it.
Jimmy's lungs were extra unclear right now. Took him a minute. So we're going all the way to New York this week. Yeah. Let's do it. We are going to Northport, New York, which is, it's Long Island. So, I mean, you can say whatever it is. It's Long Island, which is, Long Island has a special... there's some weird shit that happens on Long Island, murder-wise and everything else. And especially there's kids lose their mind on Long Island. I don't know if there's like waste buried out there that is like coming through the water supply or what, but it's a problem. It really is.
Long Island isn't a borough, is it?
No.
It's just a place.
It's fucking Long Island. It's a damn... Long Island isn't anything. No, it's fine. A lot of people grew up on Long Island, but all those people were like, I can't wait to get the fuck off this island. Like, I got to get out of here. So it's on the northern shore of Long Island. This is up here. Okay. It's about an hour 15 from New York City. So it's... There you go. About 35 minutes to Amityville, as we've covered before, and you might know from horror fame. And then about an hour and 10 minutes from Southampton, another episode we did, and then 2 hours and 45 minutes from our last episode, which was the Bear King Kills in Hillsdale, New York, which is kind of more of an upstate thing there, over by the Massachusetts border. Here, this is in Suffolk County, area code 631. The history of this place, quickly here, not a lot of history of Long Island in terms of cultural things. Just people moved out there. they built houses and had kids, and that's kind of the history of Long Island. It's the early 19th century. The Great Cow Harbor, which is what they call this area, Cow Harbor, the park that was going to play a big role in our murder this week, is called Cow Harbor Park, I think. So there's that. It was a rural farming community in the 1800s. In the 1830s, there was only 8 houses in this whole town. So
really,
that's it. Eight dwellings. It's on the North Shore there. It's it's an hour 15 drive from New York City now. So think about, if you have horses, it's a long trip. So it's kind of out there.
Growing out there.
You can grow shit out there. I mean, it rains all the time, the sun's shining, it's fertile land. I would assume you can grow shit here. It's an
island, so the water table's shallow.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You could probably grow a lot. But the new, there was shipbuilding here that started happening, and that's when there was a lot of growth of Long Island. Kind of got away from farming and became shipbuilding as their main deal here. It started being referred to as Northport in 1837 from the records here. By 1860, they had 1,000 people here.
Wow.
So not too bad. By the 1870s, it was a cooking little city on the North Shore. It had the most people going on. They had 3 shipyards, 5 sets of marine railways to run shit right up to boats, 2 hotels, and at least 6 general stores. So
that's 6 of them.
6.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like the beginnings of like Deadwood or something, except there's no gold here. So the waterfront, it kind of fell into shit. It was a commercial use, industrial, and then by the 1920s, it was a shithole, is what it was. It had been, just used and abused. Yeah. So the village decided to purchase the land along with the harbor and created a park, which is Northport Memorial Park, and that's kind of the main feature here. The Long Island Lighting Company opened Northport Power Station in 1967, which is currently the largest oil-fired electric generating station on the East Coast.
Oh, that sounds healthy.
So, it's very nice. The 4 enormous stacks, as you've seen from those, are these huge fucking stacks. They're a landmark that can be seen as far away as Connecticut.
Gross.
They're 600 feet tall, Jimmy. So they're
600 feet oil burning fucking stacks.
Shooting heavy duty pollution into the air. That's very nice. You know what? I just answered my question of what's wrong with the kids around here, I think. Yeah. Because when you hear this story, you're going to go, what the hell is going on Long Island? Like, break it off and just push it out into the ocean, man. Eventually it'll bump into like Greenland and they can have it. This is crazy. We can't have this shit going on.
Perhaps it's the collective 2,400 feet of coal or oil-fired stack.
Maybe that's it. Just crazy teenagers and celebrities that live in the Hamptons. That's all the people be floating away. So reviews of this town. There's nothing terrible. No 1-star reviews here I couldn't find. So we'll do a couple of these. Here's 4 stars, and this pretty much sums it up. It's a good, safe place to live if you can afford it. Okay. That's what it is. The high school features a diploma, IB diploma program. Many of its students go on to prestigious universities and noble careers. Okay. But packaged with that is a high cost of living and all too common bands of roving teenagers and bros. So it still exists here. I didn't know if Long Island still had the same thing going on, but I feel like it is. It's rich parents who produce either white collar, very, the Constance Fry, they produce those people, or they produce complete hoodlums who crash their parents, fucking Porsche, wrap it around a tree and kill some teenage girl or something. That's kind of the way it works here. Here's 3 stars. It's beautiful here, and the schools are decent. Only problem is the high price of living. Well, also very little diversity. It's Long Island. This person really loves it. 5 stars. Lovely waterfront community. Well, sure. It is a village with easily accessible mayor. Yeah, you're all rich, so he's going to be at your beck and call. Trustees and police officials, all of whom are more than willing to work with residents and visitors. My goodness. Numerous beaches and a town dock at the end of Main Street trolley tracks from 1908, and great diner and bakery slash cafe. Most compare it to Mayberry, but probably better. Restaurants abound, and a live theater, all in capital letters for some reason. We're very excited with NYC Equity Actors perform in addition to acting school for kids. Tough to leave it for any time and always compare anywhere to Northport, with Northport winning always.
Yeah.
Wow, that is
They have an acting class
from the fucking tourism bureau there.
that has never been referenced in any of these small town ads. The acting class is beautiful.
The equity theater is wonderful, and the class for kids is top notch. Many Juilliard students come from Northport. People in this town, 7,259 right now, so pretty goddamn small town. Male, females about average. Median age is a little bit older. This is couples with money and children and families. That's who lives here. That's pretty much exclusively who lives here.
People doing great.
Yeah, median age 48.3. So that's 18 to 20-year-old here is only 1%.
Wow.
So as soon as you turn 18, you get the fuck out of this town.
Because you can't afford it.
Well, you go to college. All the kids here, all the kids when they're 18 go to college here, or they're in prison. So one of the two, they're out of the town. Either way, and 85 plus is only 1.5% too. Okay. Too expensive. You're too old. They'll squeeze you right out and take your house. That's how it works.
Income's a motherfucker.
Step aside, Grandpa. We're coming through. I got 4 kids and I need this house. 62.5% are married. The divorce rate's a little lower than normal. It's a lot. Only 7% are single with children. So it's a married kind of town. Racially, it is 92.5% white, pretty white, 1.4% black, 1.2% Asian, 4.1% Hispanic. So it's a white town. Religion here, 72.6% are religious. Holy shit. That is a lot. I'm going to let you guess the percentage that is in Catholicism here in Long Island.
Is it about 70% Catholic?
It is 60% Catholic. Catholics are the Baptists of the South. That is hardcore here. 1.4% Jewish, Jimmy.
Oh!
Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila, Hava Nagila. I don't know the words. Hey. I love it when we do that at live shows and we have 1,000 people singing Hava Nagila with joy. They're holding their drinks up, shit's flying around. It looks like an Irish wake and shit. It's crazy.
Probably 98% of the people at our shows don't think about the Jewish religion during the day until they come to our show and they get to sing that.
And they cheer loudly
they can't wait.
If there's Jewish people there, they get to sing a song. It's wonderful. Yeah. Politically, this is remarkable. Suffolk County, last election, 49.3% Democrat, 49.3% Republican.
Holy
exactly
split.
50-50, exactly. That's crazy.
Wow.
That's wild, man. Economy here, this place, unemployment rate's about average, but it's the median household income that we're talking about. Yeah. Cost of living here is, median household income is $112,316 a year.
That seems low for that area.
It's double the national average.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
So that's a lot. Cost of living, 100 is average, regular. Here it's 155.
That's not so bad then if you're making double the money.
Not too bad. Housing, though, is a $250. So that's
yeah, that makes sense.
Median home cost, hold on to your nutsack, Jimmy, $715,800 here for median home cost. That's
oh my God.
That's a shitload of money. That is a lot of money.
That is something for your house?
That's some of these Long Island neighborhoods are like that. They're very, in this one, up by the water, it's...
For your house?
For your house? You paid that for your house?
You did what?
For that house, you paid it. It's like a split level, I don't know, $715. It's
$700.
The fuck you go to kind of southern Jersey, somewhere like that. You for $715. Forget about it. You could get twice the size of the fucking houses you could get for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, if we've convinced you, damn it, that the only place on earth for you is Northport, Long Island, New York, we have for you the Northport, New York Real Estate Report. The average 2-bedroom rental here goes for $2,071, which is actually less than double of the national average. So
that doesn't seem so bad.
It seems like the way to go. I found here, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. None of these places have square footage for some reason in Suffolk County. I don't know why, but It 3-bedroom, 2-bath, it's not that big of a place. Built in 1947. There's a giant stone fireplace right by the door, which is really, it's right by the door, though. It's in an awkward spot.
And you then open the door and put the door in the fire?
Almost. Like you almost walk into the fire. Like you'd walk in and go, ooh, that's hot. I got to step out to the side. And it has 2 kitchens. It has like a service kitchen, but it's not a huge house. So I don't know if at one point it might have been broken up into 2 dwellings, I can only assume.
Yeah, probably.
So $499,000 for that, though. That's about as cheap as you're going to find.
For 2 kitchens? You get $500,000? That's great.
Yeah. 3 bedrooms, 2 kitchens. Not bad. Yeah, who doesn't want that? I found here 5-bedroom, 3-bath. It's built in 1960. I can tell this was like someone like in my family had this house. It's got like all the walls of the dining room are all mirrored. Like these old Italian people are obsessed with mirrors. You have no fucking idea. My grandmother had the largest mirrors known to man all over her house. She had a whole wall that was just mirror.
Was it clean mirror though? Did it have like texture on it or some shit?
Depends.
Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes some little column
in the corner.
Dude, it's so crazy, man. They're nuts. They're nuts for mirrors. I don't understand why. So
makes rooms look so big. That's why.
I guess it's got children's bunk beds in the same room as the master bedroom, which is a strange thing here. Looks kind of dingy. This place, $899,995. So for this area, that's not even terrible for a big place. And here's a nice place, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, built in 1850. So nice and old. It looks out onto the water.
Oh.
It's a very nice house, nice rec room, cute, nice, well appointed. $1.2 million, or $1,250,000. I apologize.
$1.25 million. $1.25 million
because it's by the water. Wow.
Ocean view. Jesus God.
It's a bay. It's not an ocean. That is not a fucking. Don't you dare call it an ocean, Long Island. How dare you?
I mean, so it's a cove that's douched by the ocean. But
it's a douche. It's a douche cove. That's exactly what you call it. A Long Island douche cove. That's perfect. We're going over to the LI douche cove number 3 today. So things to do here. Oh boy, things to do. We have the leg lighting ceremony. Okay, now you're going to go, what's that? The leg lamp from A Christmas Story. I don't know if it's the actual one or what, but they have a leg lamp in town on Main Street that they light in late November.
Christmas?
Yeah, right after Thanksgiving. It's, the tentative date is November 27th. They do this at 6 o'clock.
It's one bulb?
They turn it on like it's like, I don't know, a big ceremony.
Switch.
And then everybody goes, and they go home because it's a leg. It's not that exciting.
It is. One volt. It's going.
Next up, this is the exciting one. Cow Harbor Day.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Cow Harbor Day, as for the website here, I'll read right from their description, is an annual festival. Festival? It's a festival.
What are you for?
It's an annual festival. I'd like Paschetti. It's an annual
Paschetti on Valentine's Day.
Fuck me. It's an annual festival celebrating. I was looking ahead to celebrating, and celebrating and festival became one word. The history.
Supposedly they pronounce it a certain way.
Supposedly. Hey, listen, I gotta nip this in the butt and not do it anymore. That's my least favorite one when people say that.
Yeah, I know it.
Nip it in the butt. In the butt. You think in the butt is in a common idiom. You think the words in the butt in that order are in a common idiom. You really think so? From like the 1800s.
Part of our lexicon, you think people just say that?
Been saying it for 200 years,
butt,
Jimmy.
Really?
Oh, Jesus Christ. So that's
got to be the worst mistake anybody ever made
ridiculous.
In the English language, right?
It's close, man. It's up there. If not, it's in the top 3. I'll tell you that much. It's a Hall of Famer. That I know. It's
first ballot.
It's a Hall of Famer for knowing immediately if someone's dumb when they're talking to you. If you first meet them and they go, I had to nip that in the butt, you go, well, this person's a moron. Okay. Well, I know that much. They could be a nice person. I get along with them, but they're not very bright. That I do know.
Why would you think that's what the saying is?
Yeah, you'd stop and go, how does that make sense? No one does that before they say words that come out?
Yeah.
Why would that be a thing? What do you need to nip in a butt? Like,
why would you be nipping the butt of anything?
Yeah, it makes
fucking weirdo.
What are you nipping? If it's poop, it's coming out eventually. So what are you nipping it for? Just let it out. What are we talking about? Tails?
It's tapered on the end. It'll come out.
It'll happen, man. So, anyway. Celebrating its history, the history of the village of Northport, which was once known as Great Cow Harbor. Yeah. It's held annually on the Sunday of the third full weekend in September. Ooh, that sounds very fancy. Since 1977, and following the Great Cow Harbor 10K held the day before. Oh. Cow Harbor Day draws thousands of visitors to Northport each September. Events kick off with a parade down Main Street featuring floats, the local North Point High School marching band. Everybody flocks to see a high school marching band. That's a bunch of rich kids fucking marching. That's what I want to watch.
Well, they're probably pretty fucking good. They've been learning the violin since they were 4.
That's true. They've all had private lessons and all this shit. It's a good point.
Kid drumming, and he's got like fucking Tommy Lee standing next to him going, I taught him that.
It was real expensive. Yeah, brother. Fucking... I fucked his mom, too. I taped it in case you want to watch it. No, not even on my phone. I taped it. I have like a camera from 1996 I tape it on. Yeah, the one with Pam, it's good luck. It's a good luck charm I got, so I just tape everything with it. What else is there? They're going to temporary resurrection of the trolley that once was commonplace along this route. How about you just put a trolley up and leave it there? Everybody can look at it all the time. Also, bovine-related costumes and floats are also a common theme. So people come dressed like cows, Jimmy. They come dressed as cows.
Yeah, but bovine themed. What's the other thing that you can dress up as? That's like say everybody's dressed like a fucking cow.
Bovine-related costumes and floats are a common theme.
Dressed up like a bull dick.
Oh, they have live music, boat races. For the past 13 years, the parade has been led by the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary Band. Well, then, sounds like something. Crime rate in this town, what we are interested in, obviously. Its property crime is half the national average. So pretty damn, nobody's stealing very much. And that's even with droves of bands of teenagers and bros, as it's put. Right. And then violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and of course assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, is 1/3 of the national average. So 2/3 under the national average. Mad safe. This place is safe as shit. It's this is a place where you want your kid to go ride his bike around or her bike around and all that kind of shit. It's one of these kind of idyllic little suburban places. So there's still idiots, though. There's always idiots. And speaking of that, let's talk about a murder.
Okay.
With some particular idiots. We got to go back to 1984 for this. So 1984, Long Island that's a good time to go back to there. You can see it. There's a cloud of Aquanet that's probably broken up maybe in the last 5 years or so, still from this era of 1984. Like, whatever's going on with the ozone or chunks of plastic in the ocean, it's from the spandex pants and outfits and Aquanet that was sprayed in, mainly just from from Suffolk County, Long Island, from the years 1979 to 1986. I feel like that's it right there. So that's all you need to know. July 1st, 1984, the police get a call. A call from a young lady who is a local teenager, who it's not an anonymous call saying, I know where there's a dead body. Oh. Okay, so the police are like, really? And they're like, seriously, there's a dead body? They're like, how do you know that? Is this like a rumor? Is this a Stand By Me, like you want to see a dead body? She said, oh, no, I saw it. I've seen it multiple times. Right. So they were like,
what?
Yeah, I've seen it multiple times. Then she says the most disturbing thing, everybody's seen it.
Oh.
Everybody's seen it, and I even know who it is, and I even know who did it. And from there, the police go out to look for it, and from that, we get this story, okay?
Oh, my.
Okay, this is out in the woods, kind of where teenagers hang out. Now, let's go back and meet some people here from the beginning, all right? We need to meet a kid named Ricky Casso, first of all. Ricky, Kasso, by the way, He's 17 years old, and I'm going to show you a picture of him right away.
Oh.
Please roll your chair over, and I'll turn this for you. Look, there he is.
Oh, boy.
He looks like 1984 in a nutshell. He's got a AC/DC T-shirt on.
Yeah, he sure does. He looks confused.
Wild long hair.
Kind of like some chameleon eyes, a little bit looking one way and another.
Kind of
He's dazed. He's having a good time.
Tight acid wash jeans you can picture, and the sneakers with the tongue that's like kind of sticking out. You know,
ponies.
They're the ponies. They're dirty.
Yeah.
That's this kid. Yeah, that's exactly who he is. He keeps a hairbrush in his back pocket. You know,
well, I would if I had that. That looks amazing.
Hairbrush, Marlboro Reds in the other pocket. That's the guy.
Hair.
He's got a curly mane on him. This kid.
Mm-hmm.
He comes from a really good family. This kid, by the way,
Really?
17. All of these kids in this area come from really good families, and it's crazy. They I don't know if it's a rebellion against that or what, but
For those who about to rock T-shirt, Jesus.
that's what it is. He's got 3 younger sisters, so he's the oldest of 4. Nice family, except for him.
Okay.
He is kind of a jerk off, and we'll talk
Kinda
about it.
fucking up?
More than kind of fucking up. You're fucking up. It's one of those. He, as in the 5th grade, he smoked weed for the first time, which is early. 5th grade is early for weed. Like that's a little early, I think, for me.
I think it took me two more years.
Yeah, I didn't smoke weed till the 8th grade.
grade.
I didn't smoke weed till 8th grade. So
And I went to school fucked up. And
that's
it was
the way to do it.
problem.
That's the way you do it.
It was a horrifying
Hope
experience.
not to get sent to the nurse's office. That's the way. That was how you roll.
Horrifying experience.
Oh God, please! I didn't sleep well last night. That's what's wrong. Who's got snacks? So it was a friend of his older brother who turned him and got smoked him out, and that's how we all got it. The first bag of weed I ever bought was from my friend's older brother who got us dusted weed. Thanks.
It was my sister's boyfriend who worked at a gas station.
It's always that. It's the older. Yeah.
I saw him when I was in my early 30s, still working at that gas station.
Makes sense. Maybe he's got a very lucrative weed business on the side that he needs.
I'm
to.
sure he does. Yeah.
It's his base of operations is that gas station. Yeah, at least Ricky, when his first time, he actually smoked weed, and unlike me, when I first bought it, was given dusted weed, which was not nice at all. So it was fun, but it wasn't. It was nice to do.
Not what I expected.
Not what I expected. So we've talked about that though. Yeah. So Ricky, he is the 3rd generation of his family in town. So they've been in town a long time. His grandfather and father both graduated from Northport High School.
Okay.
It's just where he goes. His mother, Lynn, grew up in Wisconsin, but met the dad, who is Dick, by the way. I think Ricky's a junior because he's Richard and his dad is Richard.
I'll bet you're right.
Pretty sure he's a junior here. They met while they were both teaching. Both his parents are teachers at Northport Junior High School at the time. They married in 1965, and then he was born in 67. Like, she wasn't even knocked up. They got married on purpose, and then waited a couple years, had a kid.
Very purposeful life.
Absolutely. And then here he is. Richard Jr. was born. Mm-hmm. He is a junior. So his dad here, oh my God, his dad's description's amazing. Quote, up until the 6th grade, he was like Huck Finn. What the fuck? His dad said they have a summer home in Greenwich, New York. They have a summer home.
2 teachers have a summer home?
They have a goddamn, I think probably the family. They probably have family money.
Got to, right?
Got to. Otherwise, maybe the school district pays very well. I don't know.
Unless his family invented number 2 pencils.
Something. But Greenwich, New York, they have a summer home, and they said that Ricky loved to be in the woods. He'd just fish off the shore, and he'd hunt for snakes and do all sorts of like he was Huck Finn, like a little woods kid. They said he was a shy, soft-spoken boy, is how he's described by most people back then. They said he was a good athlete, though, as well. His dad, though, his father and his grandfather had been a minor league baseball player.
Oh.
And the baseball talent has just kind of been dissipated through the years. Like
it's getting diluted.
Yeah. The father was like a good high school player, but didn't play like pros. And then Ricky's like kind of good when he's in little league, and then really kind of fades out from there.
And his son is just going to be really good at getting a better baseball card.
Well,
trading
no.
up.
No, he would sell a baseball card for mescaline in a heartbeat if you gave it to him. We'll talk about Ricky. He's got issues. So Dick ends up being a social studies teacher and the football coach also at Cold Spring Harbor High School. Okay. He and his wife, they're both church people. They said they have, good values and things like that. They like in their home a sense of order and discipline. They like to have. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. Yeah. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Have in their home. They have 3 young daughters, all very good students, all, nice, looking clean with their hair done nice for pictures and the whole deal. Yep. Elementary school, though, they said their son was never better than a C student.
Wow.
They describe him as brilliant, though. Brilliant, but just unfocused.
Okay.
So, which, a lot of kids are shit in school and are smart. That doesn't mean you're dumb. His teacher or his father said, quote, Ricky was a model child until then, a young athlete. Then he began his rebellious behavior. He started smoking marijuana and rejecting family values. That is hilarious. That sounds like it's an anti-weed commercial, like, a testimonial. Our son, they show a family like mourning next to a gravesite, and they're like, he was a young athlete and a model child until he started smoking marijuana and rejecting family values. They cut to him like in a reenactment. He started partying and leading his own lifestyle. Well, yeah, rock the fuck on, bro. Yeah.
You showed him AC/DC. Whose fault is it?
It's out there, man. How's he not? They described him, the parents, as a, quote, gifted pupil. Yeah. Never better than a C, but gifted.
Gifted.
The father said, quote, this is the really bizarre, really deviant behavior started in the 7th grade. He became insubordinate to his teachers. So that's what they said here.
7th grade?
7th grade. Mm-hmm. He joined in a house burglary as well, but he was too young to be like arrested. They were just like, hey, you little bastards, like we're telling all your parents and they're going to have to pay for that window and shit like that. Okay. Like, it was a bunch of children. He would tell his family later on that he tried weed in the 5th grade, and then all through 6th and 7th grade, he smoked weed like at least a few times a week in 6th and 7th grade, which is it's very young to be a daily smoker in 6th and 7th grade.
Of anything, really.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. It's too young to do anything daily in 6th and 7th grade, really. You know, I'm all for weed smoking, but not until you're older. Like, that's too young. Let your brain
brushing
develop.
Your teeth and taking a shower. Anything else you do daily seems a bit much.
It's a little much here. Let your brain develop a little more here. So they said his grades went in the toilet, and he became insubordinate, was rejecting family values left and right, would not accept them. Just absolutely, I will not accept family values, and started to avoid his family as well. Well, yeah, all those values. They was tired of them. Not going to deal with that.
It's miserable.
So they said they would help him with his homework at the kitchen table and everything, but his grades still didn't improve. So that sounds on purpose at that. Like the kid doesn't want to get good grades. They later learned that he would go to school a little bit early, and they thought, oh, look at him. Wants to make sure he's there on time. But it was to get there to smoke weed with a bunch of friends behind the restaurant across the street. That was, which I did all through high school as well. It was, oh boy, I'm out of the house by 6:30. Look at me. Yeah, because I needed to smoke a blunt beforehand.
I would stand right by the crosswalk across from high school and smoke with friends.
And then I'm going to stop at Denny's and get a pile of hash browns for like $1.50, and I'm going to get the fuck to school. So they said that that's has been common knowledge forever, that's where kids do shit. They smoke weed over there and do shit, but it's been like that since the 60s, so it's like just kind of the way it is. Teachers say they're often reluctant to accuse a student of being stoned as well. One teacher said, quote, you have to be close to 100% sure. Which is, you can't just go accusing kids willy-nilly. Are you stoned? Are you stoned? You sound fucking crazy. What if the kid's got like, no, I have pink eye, or I have allergies or something. Like, you can't just go wildly accusing kids of being stoned. And then you have to like follow through. Think about a teacher. As a kid, you're thinking about a teacher like, oh, they really want to oversee us and all. But now that you're an adult, think about what that's like. If you're a teacher and the kid is stoned, but he's not acting up or anything, you're like, I'm pushing that off to next period. Whoever gets him next period, hope he doesn't fall down or hit his head or anything. But this shit ain't my problem. I mean, he's not bothering me.
Right. That's the other point. Is like, who's it bothering? If they're not getting good grades, that's their problem.
What are you going to do? Drag a kid out by his ear and go, I think he's stoned. And then he goes, I'm not stoned. And they go, yeah, you are. Like, what is that going to help you as a teacher? You want to go home at the end of the night and have a glass of wine. Fuck that kid. Let his parents deal with it.
Go tell your significant other about the kid that was stoned in third period. Who gives a shit?
That's it. This kid, he's stoned like every day. I can smell it on his denim jacket with his fucking Megadeth patch on it, but he just won't admit to it. With his Judas Priest patch.
Every day with his Hell's Bells t-shirt. Doesn't even change.
Damn it. So next up is Jimmy Troiano over here. Hey,
Jimmy Troiano?
Jimmy Troiano. How's it going? He sounds like he owns a restaurant on Long Island, doesn't he? Here, roll over. I got a picture of him, too. Come back for a second. Check him out.
Oh,
there he is.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's kind of horrifying looking, honestly.
Wow.
His nose is a little weird. He's got a lot of problems, old Jimmy Tro.
There's a lot happening in that face.
Jimmy Trotro's got some issues. Let's just say that. And his issues started early. He was given up for adoption.
Oh, poor
Jimmy
T.
Very, very young. Wasn't adopted till he was 4. So spent kind of his toddler years in an orphanage.
I'm sure the not so handsome babies stick around a little longer.
And the fucked up part is I have a picture of him as a kid. He looks exactly the same but smaller. Like, it looks like someone put a shrink ray on this guy. It doesn't even. Some people like change and some people are identical. Like Macaulay Culkin is Home Alone now still, but like
same thing.
We were talking about that, but like this kid is the same way. His 4th grade picture. He's got this big smile and his eyes look more innocent, but he's identical. The same weird nose. He looks like a goblin child.
He does. Not a good looking kid.
A friend of his called him, quote, a failure at school to a degree you wouldn't believe. Which I could just hear one of his friends going, he was a fucking failure to a degree you wouldn't believe. I'm telling you right now, you wouldn't believe it. You have to understand every quote I give you is in a heavy Long Island accent. That's the thing you have to get here. So,
to a degree you wouldn't believe.
You wouldn't believe. So later on, there's a Daily News article talking about him, calling him, quote, raging bull, ? About Jimmy Tro. One teenager called him, quote, he's a tough little bull. Okay.
And I'm not talking about his face.
He was known in the neighborhood as a street brawler and petty criminal, say local residents.
The Daily News wrote about him?
Yeah, you'll find out why.
Okay.
Brawls and a bicycle accident here. He's got a bunch of scars on his face, too, from all sorts of shit. He's one of these guys. It's just it's exactly what it is. He always feels like he did. And he and Troiano and Ricky Casso become friends, which is not great, a bad combination.
Yeah.
This is a bad cocktail of two jackasses who don't belong together. This is in the 8th grade. They struck up a friendship. They were junior high school football teammates. Shit. At the time, they were both sports kids and into that sort of shit, but they were also both into like weed and stuff. Mm-hmm. They were just different. They always said he was an accident-prone kid, Jimmy Troiano. They said he fell off a neighbor's swing set, which gave him a big scar on his face and all sorts of shit like that. His mother, Mary Troiano. Hey, Mary Tro, come over here.
Can we visit those play sets, those fucking metal rusty? Those things were so fucking dangerous.
The swing sets had chain links, and you would hold them, and then if it went up a little, your skin would get caught in the chain link and just rip a chunk out of it. They're dangerous as fuck.
And the chains were always bent. There was always a piece that would snag you. The plastic on the bottom was boiling fucking hot and melted in the sun.
I think it's good for us, though. We learned that, that's check a seat to make sure it's hot. And a lot of times there's chunks of jagged, rusty metal sticking out of things that'll slice you open. So watch the fuck out unless you want a tetanus shot.
And then the bar for holding onto that you would swing had the same metal chains that went up as the swings. And then you were supposed to hold on to that and run as fast as you can and fling your ass up in the air. Or throw your fucking the back of your knees over it and try to flip off it. We did crazy shit on
all sorts
things.
of. How high can you fly off the swing set? One kid broke a ball off a swing set.
What?
In elementary school.
His nuts?
He ruptured a testicle when I was in 4th grade. He flew off the swing set. Really, he got good air. I mean, it was impressive. We were like, awesome. And then he fell. And the way he fell, I don't know if it the way his pants were or whatever, but he just he hit the ground and was just like, ah! We were like, we all ran away like Matt Stafford at the Super Bowl party or whatever. I swear to God, everyone was like, scatter. Teachers came over and we thought he broke his leg or something, and they carried him off, and he ruptured a testicle. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Exploded it, and we were like,
landed
whoa.
On his feet?
Landed on his kind of on his forward, but on on one arm forward, kind of one half of his chest. So I don't know if his leg crunched his ball or he hit his ball on the ground or there was a rock in a bad place.
Rocketed all his guts through his testicle.
Whatever it was bad for him, and he ruptured a testicle, and we were all just like, whoa, he broke his ball, man. Every boy, the whole rest of the time I was in elementary school, every boy gingerly got off that swing set. Slow down, get off, step off. Nobody jumped off that shit anymore. Nobody. The girls would still do it, but the boys were like, no way, you'll break your balls like that. Everyone was like, what do you want, trying to fucking break? We thought that's what happens all the time. So we were like, you're going to break your fucking ball jumping around like that. All of us were paranoid about rupturing our testicles for the whole rest of the school.
I don't know how those things, those swing sets, I don't know how they didn't have a class action. So many people were hurt on those.
Sure they have.
I saw kids with compound fractures jumping off those swings, man.
Fuck yeah.
It was crazy.
They were nuts.
How we survived is nuts.
And the metal fucking things that you'd climb in, and Jesus Christ.
They had drainage pipes, just like a piece of one in our playground, where people would run, and there was just a tunnel, drainage tunnel.
Yeah.
Concrete fucking pipes, and somebody was running full speed and didn't get low enough, and
head off.
She fucking scalped herself. Took her whole fucking hair off.
Jesus Christ. That's almost as bad as breaking a ball. I don't know which is worse. So, anyway, Mary Tro over here. Mary Tro that over here. She's a nurse in a psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
So, she describes her son Jimmy as, quote, a slow learner who has undergone therapy. So, wait a second. No, that's your mom describing you. I'm sorry.
Kelly Joe, get out of this.
I'm only kidding. So he said that she also said he has a discipline problem as well. His junior high coach, David Harper, recalls Ricky and Jimmy said they were good friends, but they were kids who had problems. He said, yeah, Jimmy was a nose guard and Ricky was an end, and his friends, they'd go after practice and smoke weed. That's what they do. Yeah. Jimmy's arrested repeatedly for burglary. That's his thing. He likes to burgle, period. That's Jimmy's deal.
Who's going to hire him to be the face of their company?
No shit. Now, there's a Rolling Stone article about all of this. Yeah, okay. I'm telling you, this story's fucked. So there's a Rolling Stone article, and I just love the descriptions the Rolling Stone article gives in the quotes, the kids they quote. They won't use their names most of the time, so it's just their description. Here is a quote from, quote, Prepster Girl. Jimmy, he was always kind of wild, always doing strange things. When he was 7, he took the hook on a swing set. See, look at this.
Yep.
You know how the chain hooks onto the seat? He took it into his mouth on top of the A-frame and jumped off. Why the fuck would you do that?
I don't understand what are you doing?
That gave him that's his big scar. This is what I mean. They say, a swing set accident. The kids, I love the quotes from the kids because they actually know these people and know what the fuck was there. He jumped off with it in his mouth. Why would you do that? Think about that. Like a meat hook.
Yeah, it's just going to rip your fucking cheek out.
He was pretending to be a trout. I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
Get it.
I'm fucking flabbergasted. At the 9th grade dance, they played Monster Mash for him because he had so many scars on his face.
Oh, what the fuck, man?
That's messed up. I had a crush on him in the 5th grade. He was a nice kid.
Yeah.
So he was a nice kid up until, yeah. This is girl, former classmate. We all knew his nickname was Draw because of his fangs. We joke about him having to go to the dentist to get his teeth filed down. Apparently he had big canines.
Dracula teeth, yeah.
Yeah. Here's another 15-year-old girl at the time. Quote, I asked Jimmy what school he went to, and he's like, I don't need school. I go, do you work? And he goes, I don't need a job. I say, what do you do? He says, hang out. Everything is such a quick comeback. Not really all that thoughtful, though. He's not like he's fucking Don Rickles over here. He's hang out. Well, yeah, that's pretty. I said, do you have any future plans? He goes, we just break the rules. He goes, people make rules, we break them. He broke into houses. He had a good reputation as a burglar. He was at that age. He had a good reputation as a burglar. Man, that guy's a pretty good burglar. I'll be honest with you. It's pretty good, bro. I've heard good things about him.
Everything he does that's bad, they're just like he's just a genius. He's like a really bad. He's like the Charlie on It's Always Sunny trying to be an artist.
That's exactly. This is a time. The 80s and 90s, though, this is, and probably the 70s, I don't know because I wasn't alive, whatever, but like the 80s I know because from like my older aunt who was like 10 years older than me, this is how all of her people were. They were like these headbanger people and stuff, and and like the 90s was the same way where like if a kid was a burglar, you wouldn't be like, oh, I don't like him, he's a burglar. You'd be like, yeah, he's a pretty good burglar. Like in case you need a burglar anytime, like there's my buddy over there. Like it was considered cool to be an outlaw if you're a kid. Especially I think maybe on Long Island, it's considered cool because A, these kids don't get in any real trouble because their parents get them out of everything. And B, it's like, yeah, we're rebelling. All these other kids just doing what their parents want, man. Right. But these are all like a bunch of Judd Nelsons from the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with.
But the rebellion at this point in society, like 80s and 90s, the rebellion was like up to hurting people. You know what I mean? If the next generation's going to up the ante in danger, the next thing is like fucking murder. So we got to calm the fuck down.
Well, yeah, that's what happens here. Murder happens, as we know from the show. If you want to roll over, I think one more time here, we have Gary Lowers, Lawers. Gary Lowers. Here he is here.
Okay.
So Gary's a blonde-headed kid. He looks the same thing. Looks like a burnout. These kids.
Looks like they all shithead. Yeah.
They all look like burnouts from the 80s. Acid wash jeans.
Yeah.
Trans Am.
Right.
You know the guy. So
figure it out.
Here's some quotes about him. Here's a classmate. Quote, Gary was basically a good kid, young in mind. He put up a little bit of a bad front so he could hang in there with his peers.
Yeah.
He's one of those kids that wants to be one of the bad kids, but he's not really like that.
Yeah.
Every group had a few of those hangers on that were, just wanted to feel cool or different. Here's another one. Quote, Gary was like a wimp. This is from a girl named Michelle. He was more into peace than fighting. He fought to get people to like him. Why does anybody fight? Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for your... Michelle's like, let's get deep right now. Like, you're from Rolling Stone. Let's talk about it. Like,
he fought because he thought it was cool. Of course he fucking did.
Except in Marissa Tomei's voice from My Cousin Vinny. Why does anybody fight?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Here's another kid here. Quote, Gary'd run away from home. He'd stay in clubhouses that he knew or in the lumberyard up the road or in doorways. So somebody else, they called him Fuzzy Legs. That was his nickname.
Yeah. He would stay in like that little area that's like the mudroom, I guess, of like walk-ups and shit?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly, yeah, the little between the two doors.
Yeah.
Another one, Fuzzy Legs would do things for the moment. He'd pull Midnight Auto, which is like ripping stereos off and stuff. They called it Midnight Auto, apparently. He wouldn't think about the next day what was going to happen to him. He'd totally fuck somebody over and not think about the consequences of it. Sometime last summer, he stole money from his parents. He'd get $80 and go out and buy a $25 bong and spend the rest on weed and smoke it all that night. He was always like that since he was a little kid. He was the kid that started the little forest fires, brush fires. He's the kid that climbed up the tree very high. We all know that kid.
Yeah.
He's Tanner from Bad News Bears. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the kid that starts forest little brush fires and shit, that's a dangerous little motherfucker.
Well, yeah, sometimes he looks, it's really tripping me out because he looks just like my friend who set a whole section of field and woods on fire when we were like 13 years old. And he looks just like him, and this is just how he was. And my friend was such a jerk. I mean, to the point where he took police on like a 2-hour, 3-county chase like James fucking Brown at one point until they knocked his tires out and he had to fucking finally stop after he went another 10 miles on rims. Wow. He's a crazy son of a bitch. And then he turned into like a super Christian. And he asked my cousin at one point, they were hanging out, and he goes, hey man, just want to let you know, if you ever like, want to talk about anything, I'm here for you. And my cousin's like, all right, great. Thanks, man. Like, what the fuck are you talking? They're sitting around just hanging out watching the Knicks game or something. And he goes, just like anything, like, you want to talk about like Jesus or anything? I'm here. And he was like, the fuck are you talking? When the fuck have I ever put one inclination that I wanted to have a deep talk about Jesus with you? What the fuck are you talking about? So he turned into that from this. Yeah. So there's 2 routes you can go.
That is hilarious.
It's about Jesus or anything, whatever, anything. That's the first thing. Actually, I wanted to talk about that. So this is another just boy here. Gary was the type of guy that everybody liked because he wasn't selfish. I remember he got 25 hits of acid and he just gave them out. 25 hits of Sid, gave them out. That's what he said. 25 hits of Sid, man, gave them out. Pretty cool bra, man. Here is one who is described later on at a funeral that takes place where they interviewed him. Quote, stoned pallbearer number 1, which is a great description of a kid. Quote, when he robbed that house, he had $4,000 in hard, cold cash, and he found 2 people. And he said, hey, you guys want to go buy some motorcycles? And he bought those 2 kids cycles and one for him. And he bought a box, an outrageous tape deck. It was $300 and went to this girl's house with a gold chain for her. He was going out with her and they'd broke up. He got there and she wouldn't go out with him again. He was just freaking out and he beat the shit out of the box on the ground right there. He didn't care. He gave one guy $500, just have fun tonight. Just like He's a flighty, weird guy. Yeah. He went to Lace's roller rink and he took $1,000, and just chucked it in the air, man.
Making it rain on these hoes.
That's $1,000 for a teenager in 1984 is fucking insanity.
Yeah.
This is, by the way, there's a YouTube video. I don't know how I found it. I like to look up like weird shit, like historical videos and stuff. And this one video came out. And somebody, a college kid at NYU, made a video for a project. and it's like from a mall in Long Island in 1983. And it's fucking these kids. Like, I want to go back and rewatch it and make sure none of these kids are in the fucking thing. I swear to God. It's wild. They all talk exactly like this, too. It's just funny. Just chucked it in the air, man. Just, I could see this kid. He's got the jacket, the hair, the fucking earring. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this fucking guy.
In 99, $1,000 was a shitload of money.
A lot, yeah. Fuck, man. Stoned pallbearer number 2 said that's the way he is. He didn't give a flying fuck.
Yeah.
Gary don't give a flying fuck. Stone pallbearer number 3 said about him, quote, he went to Florida once. He had a little chemical bank card, and he was punching out money the whole way there and back. It was sick. One of the guys, dude, it was sick. This is so great. One of the guys clipped the card from his father. Jesus, these kids, man, I know just what they sound like. They got thrown off the bus because they stopped at a place for the night, and in the morning they went into a liquor store and bought like mega bottles of Jack and everything. Mega bottles of Jack and everything. And they went on the bus and they started getting everyone on the bus really drunk. They're just passing bottles out on a bus. Driver pulled over and said, "Get the fuck out of here." And that's what happened. Here's a just girl classmate. In junior high, he was quiet and he wasn't in with the cool kids. He was teased, an outsider. Gary was oh my God, gay slur that got tough.
Wow.
That's from a girl. And that's how Long Island is. That's what a girl
Q or
was
F?
F.
Wow.
So, yeah. So Dan, here's a guy named Dan. He'd be into Hendrix, Joplin, the Woodstock stuff, then rap for a while. The Sabbath, like, I saw Gary and he had this upside down cross in this little book. It was this little brown book about Satan, and he was just saying all these stupid things, but he didn't really understand it.
He's trying to figure himself out. He has no fucking clue what he is or what he's going to be.
Here's a friend of his. He did talk about his future once. That's good. Let's find out maybe he's got.
What's
do
his
you
outlook?
think he's got goals? Maybe he's got a deep goal. Maybe he wants to really make a difference. Maybe become like a,
Where's
like
going?
it's like a pediatric neurosurgeon or something, and figure out how to save kids. He did talk about his future once. Holy shit, S&M Gary. That's what S&M Gary. Remember when that girl puked in the attic at one of those parties? Gary put on her leather jacket, the biker jacket and shit, and I was wearing one of the black leather belts with studs. He had no shirt on. S&M Gary. That's what they called him, S&M Gary, because he looked like the gimp for a minute there.
Because he put on a girl's jacket that vomited?
With studs and shit, yeah. He'll probably puke on it and shit. He was dancing. He put on Prince. That was one of the many times Gary told me he loved me. That's when he discussed his future. When he's comfortable and gets in his leathers with fucking little red Corvette on in the background, now he's comfortable to talk some shit here.
Yeah.
He said that, oh my God, he said that me and him were going to get married and he was going to start dealing coke. This is what a kid is like.
That's his dream?
That's his dream. I'm going to start dealing coke. It gets better. And he was going to go down to Colombia, and get massive amounts of coke. And then he was going to buy me a dream apartment, a penthouse on Fifth Avenue. And the bedroom was going to be all black leather. And he was going to buy me a red Ferrari with a chauffeur. Why would you want a chauffeur in a Ferrari? That's because it defeats the purpose of a Ferrari. You want to drive a Ferrari. If you want to sit, you want it to be comfortable in the back of a fucking car.
Get yourself
Idiot.
a Lincoln if you want a chauffeur. Also, you're gonna go buy a shitload of coke and move it, and then move into fucking Manhattan.
Oh, he's gonna be like the King of New York. He's gonna be like Christopher Walken in The King of New York. He's gonna be like the major. He's gonna be like a mobster, basically.
They're gonna know what you do, man.
It's gonna be John Gotti. It's gonna be the '80s. It's gonna be Vinny the Chin. It's gonna be all these guys and me, Gary from Long Island.
With a Ferrari and a chauffeur.
The only idiot with a chauffeur in his Ferrari at the time. Like the only person, this girl is saying this is like their dream, whatever. So
what a crazy dream.
He knew it was just, no shit. This is what a teenager thinks about, though. That's what I could do. I could just do that. He knew it was just a dream, but it was a dream. He was a pisser sometimes. And then again, sometimes he was a dick. I love these teenagers. It's so funny. So the summer before, 1983, Gary and his pals, they got stoned in the forest, okay? And they apparently made a tape. They painted their hands white and put like handprints all over the trees to trip out on it or whatever. Okay. they made a videotape to document this. So in 1983, if you had access to a video camera, your fucking parents had money.
Yeah.
I didn't see a video camera in the flesh until like 89. And like a distant cousin had one, and we were like, whoa, holy shit. Oh, you can wow, that's amazing.
If you've seen one in the 80s, you've used one in the 80s, and then you've used one in away from your parents.
You have take it
that
out of the
much
house?
money? You've got
where they're like, yeah, use the video camera. It's not like, worth more than my car or anything. You know how much a video camera was back then?
You can take that out of your parents' view? That's insane.
Wow. At one point, Gary stopped everybody and said, quote, "We contribute this to society of the man who invented acid, fucking drugs. Man, I dedicate this tape to the man who invented Sid and Mesk. Man, this fucking dude, thanks a lot, man. Wherever you are, fuck the world." That's his quote. It's the most 16-year-old kid on acid I've ever heard in my fucking life. Sid is acid and Mesk is mescaline, in case you're... well, there's people who are straight people that listen to us, too, that aren't like... weren't ever into the drug culture when they were younger.
Was that Timothy Leary? Is that who he's thinking?
No, maybe, yeah, I think that's who he's thinking about. Yeah, probably. I don't know if he knew that or if he was just like, whoever that dude is who invented it, man, just, I don't know if he'd done any research on.
I guess that's the same thing as like a stoner sitting there going, yeah, man, Mr. General Mills, whoever invented these Lucky Charms, you're a fucking hero, bro.
Because you know what? I'm the one who's lucky and charmed. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Fuck
you know what I'm saying. Fuck the world. Yeah, man. So
he tried acid once and was like, whoever did this, man, hero.
Woo! Rock and roll.
The Medal of Freedom.
Yeah, baby. He needs to be recognized, man, because like the expansion, like how many minds has he expanded, man? Like think about it. Like since it started, like in the 60s, man, people were just doing tons of acid, man. Think about all the minds expanded, man. It's crazy.
That is a dipshit 16-year-old thing to say. Yeah. He really thinks that nobody's ever recognized that guy?
No, not at all. He's the one who's like, who's really underrated? The guy who invented acid, man.
Some guy invented this and then just put it out in the world and never took credit for it. Shut the fuck up.
No shit. So, but Gary, he's a kid. This is how we're laughing at all these kids because 16-year-old kids are dipshits, and we were huge dipshits.
Yeah.
Like they were all. It's impossible to not be 16 and a dipshit. It's just not the way it works. Whenever I see anybody who's like, "Oh, this famous so-and-so star who's 16," I'm like, "What? What? How do you even get organized to do any of that when you're 16?" I was a mess. So Gary and Ricky Casso have known each other forever. I have a picture of their second grade class picture with both of them in it. So they've known each other since they're, little kids pooping their pants and shit here. This is or maybe at least peeing in it once in a while. So you shouldn't be pooping your pants by the second grade.
Right.
Yeah, maybe if somebody gets upset and has an accident and pisses themselves possibly. But he ran track in junior high, Gary, by the way. Okay. But again, just like the other two, kind of fell off as a teenager and stopped getting into that kind of shit. He had academic problems, drops out of school after the 10th grade, finally, Gary. A friend of his here said, quote, this is a young lady, he wasn't really bad, he was just acting out. So that's, oh no, I'm sorry. This is his lawyer that represented him in family court when he was arrested twice for stealing shit all the time.
His lawyer said he's not really bad. He's
his
acting
lawyer,
out?
Eileen Evans Newmark, said that he's not really bad. He's just acting out. She describes the Lowers as a caring family who sought counseling to help them deal with Gary's troubles. I guess in 83, Gary pled guilty to a reduced charge after being arrested for assaulting a friend. And he was placed on 5 years probation. God. He also, in the 8th grade, him and 5 other kids were arrested on charges. They burglarized the home of a family that they knew was on vacation. And when the parents learned of the whole thing, this is Ricky, I'm sorry. Now, Ricky Casso did that, like we said before. And when the parents learned of the burglary charge, they went into Ricky's room and found to look for shit, and that's when they found his bong, and they found like a bowl and all that shit. So their parents said about Ricky, we never really knew he was involved in the drugs. He was smoking the weed until we searched his room after the burglary. And they sought out a counselor. They've spent so much money on Ricky Casso in counseling and special schools and all this shit. It is wild, man. Fucking wild. They go to a guy named Tom Fazio, who's a counselor at the place. It's a Main Street counseling place. So they take him right to Main Street, met privately with them and all that. Parents attended weekly group sessions with all this shit. I mean, he was with him, and big deal. In the 9th grade, Ricky made the first team as both offensive and defensive end.
Wow.
That's really good. But everybody would kind of make fun of him. His burnout friends would pick on him about it. Look at him.
It's your motivation.
His coach said, quote, Ricky would put his head down. They'd say things like, nice play, Ricky, you jock. So that was like a big insult. You have to understand the 80s. Like, the Breakfast Club, that's how kids really thought of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's suburban. That's the same place as this. It's the same fucking place. So those groups there was a hard wall up between them. Yeah. And Judd Nelson wasn't on the wrestling team. You know what I mean? That's just the way it fucking worked.
Well done, jockstrap breath.
The coach said if there was a conflict in his life between sports and drugs, he thought that's what it would be. Yeah. And Ricky chose to be a burnout. Okay. And so did Jimmy Tro. Jimmy Tro, a close friend, said that Jimmy Troiano, once he started kind of hanging out with the burnout crowd, one of his friends said that his new friends were, quote, real dirtbags. Real dirtbag types who dealt in, they sold like angel dust and LSD and shit like that, Real dirtbags, I'm telling you. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. Yeah. You need that money a couple days early, or you go grocery shopping. You got a car payment due. There's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmy had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this Hero Bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch up here or a total makeover.
Yeah.
Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing.
No.
They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently wherever your problem areas are. Tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
In the 10th grade, he was already 17 years old in the 10th grade, which is a little old for the 10th grade. And he dropped out of school. He was like, am I too old for this? I think I'm too old for this, right?
I don't want to be at fucking graduation at 20 years old. That's going to be weird.
Yeah, it's a little much. So that same year, Ricky Casso, by Thanksgiving, he started LSD that year in 83. And in a 23-day period during the second half of the school year, he was suspended 5 different times.
In 3 weeks?
In last, what is it, a 23-day period. Yeah, 5 different times for fighting. His grades were all Fs. He was charged with stealing checks from a teacher's desk.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he was doing that. He was in counseling, the group counseling, and they took him to a psychiatrist for his own private sessions as well. One session with the psychiatrist, his mom picked him up and he walked out and said, well, you just threw away another $75. This counselor's a jerk, but if you want me to, I'll play your game. So I'm not talking to him, but if you feel like paying him $75 every week, I'll go sit there. Like, man.
He's not taking it serious. So there's certainly something wrong at home, right? That's got to be the problem.
Not to anybody else, though. Yeah. The sisters are great. It's just this fucking kid. It's Long Island. I'm telling you. There's something about I don't know what the fuck it is back here, but these kids, remember when we did the Fishkill episode?
Yeah.
These are these kids. It's the same kids. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's just 10 years later. Yeah. But it's the same exact kids.
I don't know. My uncle did this same shit in Colorado, too.
It's crazy.
There's got to be a trigger somewhere in them that makes them fear the future, and I think these kids just don't have that.
They don't. They don't. I honestly think that, and I think that they get bailed out a lot too. So they think that it's fine. I'll always be fine, and
right.
You know, I don't know. I don't know if that's what it is, or if it's like they're like ne'er-do-well, like aristocrat Europeans who are like, well, eventually my parents will die and I'll inherit that just like they did, and I'll be fine. I don't know if that's part of it or what, but. Anyway, the counselor, the Fazio guy, broke up with him in the counseling relationship, kicked him out of counseling.
Wow.
And, because he kept coming to the session stoned. Like, this isn't how you do it. Fazio said to him, or Fazio, it doesn't seem like you're really trying to even get off the drugs or even want to. And Ricky said, quote, you're right. I like what I'm doing. There you go. Here's a guy named Mark Fisher that's quoted a lot. He says, quote, I've known Ricky since 6th grade. First time he tripped in 7th grade. First time he tripped on acid in 7th grade. That's way too young for acid.
Unbelievable.
Way too young for acid. In 7th grade art class, he'd drawn a dragon on the board and said it started to move. All right. First time Ricky got in trouble was in 8th grade. He stole a container of high C from the church. That's the most pathetic.
It's a pretty whack-ass burgle.
Do you think the church got high C because it's like high church or high Christ? You could just see it for a lot of things. Yeah. Get some high Christ in you here.
Yeah, we can't have the Capri Suns around here.
No shit. So April 1982, the Northport, East Northport School District's Committee on the Handicapped, okay, that's a committee, they label Ricky officially on the record, quote, emotionally handicapped. I didn't even know that was a diagnosis that a person could acquire. But in his permanent record, it says emotionally handicapped.
Yeah, his
sounds like
need a chair.
It sounds like an excuse that someone would make in a romantic comedy. I can't commit to you, Katherine Heigl. I'm fucking, I'm emotionally handicapped. I can't do it. I have limitations. They said with also severe drug dependency and antisocial tendencies as well. In the fall that year, he attended a special unit for troubled teenagers, and then he went to a learning center in Deer Park where Jimmy Tro was also a student. So they got back together, and then they were just cut all the time because they hung out together. So they said Ricky was spending as much time out as he was in, like out on the streets as he was with his family. He would sleep outside sometimes. He just wouldn't come home. Ricky would sleep behind the Midway, which is a a stationary store that the ones that they hang out and smoke weed behind near the school. The manager at the store said that Casso was not allowed inside the store, and the store does not sell paraphernalia to minors. Okay. Apparently there's they sell bowls and shit there maybe. Ricky would sometimes row a dinghy into the Northport harbor and sleep in the cabin of a moored boat. So you go out there and find a boat that nobody was using.
Wow.
Yeah, and do that. He stayed occasionally in the corner of a lumber yard or in a playhouse behind a girlfriend's home. And she'll have quotes too. In summertime, he said it was really easy. Here's a guy who used to know him and live on the streets around there, too. He said, a lot of the time when you do hallucinogenics, you get so high that you don't sleep a lot of the night anyway. Right. Which is true. You can't sleep when you're on acid. People don't hassle you if you're sleeping in the park during the day. So Ricky was basically a night person. So he'd just be up all night. He told his father, after the counselor kicked him out, quote, and this is the quote from the father. He told us, I enjoy the fantasy world of drugs. You can't stop me. Quote, I love drugs. And he ran out the door, literally. He said, I love drugs. And he ran out. This is like an after-school special that you'd go, come on, man.
Ricky, we love you. I love drugs.
I love drugs, Dad. Drugs. And he runs out. Don't you love your family? I love drugs. And he leaves.
I don't know, the idea of rowing a dinghy out into a harbor and just jumping onto a moored boat that's not being used.
That sounds fine.
And sleeping overnight sounds rad.
That sounds so cool when you're a teenager. Yeah. But you don't want to have to do that. That's the thing. It's cool when you have options.
Yeah. Where are we going tonight? I'm going to show you, baby. You get in. We're going to do the most romantic shit you ever see.
We're going to get stoned out there. It's going to be great, man.
We're going to row out to a 40-foot long fucking mini yacht.
Jesus. So by summer of 82, Jimmy Tro and Ricky Casso, both well known to the cops around there. They're Jimmy Troiano over the next couple years until 84. He's arrested 5 times, usually for burglary. In 1983, Jimmy Tro spent 7 months in the Suffolk County Jail after he was picked up in Florida for a probation violation. Jesus, man, it doesn't sound like 17-year-old shit.
No.
And they knew who Ricky Casso was because he was always on the streets, so they knew him and shit. And everybody knew that Ricky Casso, quote, always had the best pot. First of all, one guy is quoted as saying, always had the best pot and a variety of harder stuff. Now, his parents, while he's doing all this, are trying to still do things. They tried to get him in a private school that specialized in drug dependency problems that would take them. So they found the Camelot School in Lake Placid, New York, which is far as fuck from Long Island. The same state, you're like, oh, it's a couple hours. Lake Placid is Canada. It's so fucking far away. Nowhere near there. They took Ricky, and Ricky ran away on the day of his admissions interview. And stayed gone for 17 days. Just lived in the woods for 17 days.
Of Lake Placid up in the middle of nowhere.
Yep, it was during the summer, I guess. It was warm. The dad said, quote, they told us they'd accept a kid only if a kid was willing to give it a chance. They were like, he ran away for 17 days during his admissions interview. I feel like it's not. Yeah, I feel like he's not. Yeah. Not for him. Here's an article, and I love the way, I love it, it's terrible, but it's hilarious the way they were so overdramatic about teenagers and shit here. Here's an article, quote, my God, they were only teenaged kids sowing a little wild oats. That's what some of the residents of affluent Northport, Long Island thought of the youngsters who hung around Cow Harbor Park and along Main Street. Others knew better. The kids were dopers.
Fucking dopers.
A short trip to New York City guaranteed a steady supply of angel dust, marijuana, and mescaline. You name it. The kids around town were well supplied.
You name it, they're on it.
They're on it. Then, quote, the inevitable happened. Grades at school suffered. Some of the kids dropped out. They took part-time jobs to earn enough money for their next high. Incessant quarrels with parents led to open hostility. A few of the boys left home altogether and lived off friends, sleeping in garages, or, if the weather was good, even in the park.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Sounds like that sounds like the guy that narrates fucking forensic files.
It kind of does, yeah. It kind of does a little bit, yeah. I went full forensic.
It's pretty good.
Went full. Oh, this guy sat down. Really, he did like cracked his knuckles with his typewriter. He's like, rubbed his hands together. The most flowery language I can make it. I am going to discuss the society's problems from the point of view of. He was a real douche about it.
What is that guy's name? I fucking love that guy.
Oh man! By 84 here, Ricky kind of becomes the leader of his little group. Mm-hmm. And included in that little group is a lot of younger kids. A lot of kids who are 15, 14 who want to be cool. I want to be an acid guy too. So they're hanging around him and they look up to him and he loves that shit. He basks in it here. So he always had like acid, mescaline, weed. He had shit like that. He'd give it away to people. He'd sell shit.
Really?
Yeah, when he was really high, he'd just give it away to his buddies. He'd be like, "Hey, do some mescaline with me."
Jesus.
So Ricky, he would even he'd sleep in unlocked cars, shit like that. So they apparently used to bought shit in bulk. They kind of sort of figured out how to do it. A guy who Troiano met in jail said, quote, I used to take them into the Bronx and Harlem to buy, but after a while I stopped going in because they knew where to go. This is an ex-prisoner here. He said, we'd buy $500 worth of dust a week for the three of us. For the three of us.
For use?
Ricky and Jimmy used to trip, but they gave that up and started getting into heroin,
Uh-huh.
Jesus Christ. They said that even Casso's customers, this guy said, were 12 sometimes, and he would sell them anything. He said, I used to tell Casso, I don't like seeing you selling to the 7th graders, he said, because it's one thing when he's in high school selling to the kids there, they know what's going on, but the little kids, they just think to hallucinate, how excellent. Thank you, Bill and/or Ted. To hallucinate, how excellent. Wow.
That's a very stoner Shakespeare thing to say.
It is. To hallucinate, man. How excellent. So they said that what they're using as mescaline, saying is mescaline, is just kind of low-grade LSD. There's not really any mescaline around Long Island in 1984. Yeah. It's just LSD. They also said that dust is what they're using a lot, too, which dust was still popular when I was in high school back here. You could get it real cheap. So they said that they didn't really, he invested his profits in drugs for himself, is what everybody said.
Yeah.
One guy said he just made enough to keep his head up, to keep himself high. That was it. He would crash at a friend's house over the winter of 83, a guy named Mike Busterna, who he said he would come over all the time. And he said, I felt, I guess the mother said that that Ricky basically said that figured he got thrown out by his parents and she felt bad for him. She said, I felt he was closer to home if he stayed here than if he was living in the city or on the streets or going to California or something. So thought maybe he would reconcile with his parents if they let him stay there. Okay. He stayed for about 10 days there at another person's house. This is a girl named Elise, who was a friend of his. Family had a waterfront home. I'm sure they were real thrilled to see this fucking scumbag coming up here with Ricky. He would, sell drugs here and there to keep going. And her father later on says, if I had known he was doing that, I would have told him to leave about selling drugs at the house there.
How didn't you know, man?
They said that these parents also called his parents to let him know that he was staying there. They were good people and they were trying to help out. So this around now is when he really gets into Satan also a little bit. Gets into Satanism a little bit here. This is also a quote from that same article that's hilarious in the paper. Quote, it probably started when Ricky purchased a book on Satanism. It was fascinating stuff, diametrically opposite to the Christian teachings he had followed in his home all his life. Satan was king, the king of darkness. Evil was not feared, but cherished. Christ was mocked. Here was something Ricky could really dig. Yeah. It says in the paper. Oh, my God. Quote, because he was a pusher, many kids in town listened to Ricky expound his theories on Satanism. Anything for a high. Anything for a high. Some
pusher man.
He's the pusher man, as Curtis Mayfield would say. Some secretly scoffed at Ricky's preachings. Others thought there might be something in this Satan stuff. Maybe he's onto something. It made a lot of sense, especially when you were high. It made sense to Jimmy Troiano, especially when you were high. Then
a lot of things make sense when you're high.
And then the end of it, quote, Northport is a pleasant town, quiet, scenic. Nothing much ever happened there until the spring when a 17-year-old boy bought a book about Satan. The town has never been the same since.
All right.
Okay. This cult, by the way, the quote, and I'm using definite hard air quotes here. It's a high school group that dates back a few years, not long, called the Knights of the Black Circle.
Okay.
They gave themselves a little nickname and everything here. I wonder if they're going to get little jackets like in Greece or something. They estimated there was maybe 60 kids who, oh my God, they did have jackets. Oh my God, I forgot about this. There's 60 kids said they considered them, and many had jackets with the name on it, and they had like a logo and everything.
Yeah. Did it just say Knights?
One kid said it was like if you saw the knights in the halls, you wouldn't look them in the eye, said an 18-year-old girl. She said they're still around. This was a couple years later. Yeah. The knights inscribed Satan rules on things. Oh, God, that's so fucking funny. Satan rules, brah, yeah. Woo! Satan kicks ass.
Satan rocks.
And then you write Nugent right under it in 83. Like, what? So, Satan rules everywhere. Pentagrams they were the kids who made the pentagrams everywhere. Some people said there were satanic readings around bonfires in the Aztacaquia woods where the knights would take hallucinogens. They made it sound very organized, but it's just kids who act like they're into bullshit and smoke weed in the woods.
Dipshits.
Yeah, it's not. They don't have an organized seance in the woods or anything or whatever the fuck they're doing.
He's literally selling drugs so that he can support his drug habit. They're idiots.
Exactly. Now, many of them, a lot of these kids kind of moved on, the class of kids that were doing that, but Ricky hung on to it and dug it and was really keeping it in there.
Well, he's the CEO, James.
Well, that's the thing now. He's got to step up his game into the light here. Librarians said they recalled seeing Ricky reading books on Satanism at the public library opposite Northport Junior High. That's really, you're a librarian. You shouldn't be fucking saying publicly what people read. And isn't that part of their code is it's a privacy thing? I saw him in here reading that. That's not cool. You're not supposed to do that.
I mean, the whole public library mantra is shh. So shut the fuck up.
Yourself, lady.
You're being too loud.
Shh yourself, Aunt Gladys. Shut the fuck up. So but yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's okay. Maybe it's just not you can't. If you see something, maybe you're not supposed to call the cops and be like, "There's a guy reading something here." Yeah. But I guess if you're asked about it afterwards, you go, "Yeah, he was reading that shit. I don't care." I don't know how that works. I'd like to know the library code. What's the librarian's code?
I think the see something, say something policy is adhered to after the fact. If something happens, because there was so much happening with BTK at the library, and they never said shit. You know what I mean?
Yes, totally. Yes.
That guy did everything at the library right in front of everybody.
Fucking everything. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I was choking there. His friend said they remember words to a song he wrote about Satan. This is kind of a love song for Satan. Mm-hmm. Quote, "We're all up in the Aztacaquia, and along came the devil," it began. At one point, and this is more lyrics, he pointed at me and said, "You, my son, are a child of the beast." I don't know. That's not really, those aren't good lyrics. Those are terrible.
Did any of that rhyme?
I don't think so. I think they were skipping around. I don't think it was. They said that in the bathroom mirrors on his house, he would always, when it was fogged up, he'd write 666 on them and all that kind of shit. He was that kid. He's that kid. One guy, a guy named Jim Edwards, he's a college student who passed out religious paraphernalia. He passed out pamphlets with a group of kids from the Northport Baptist Church and remembers encountering Ricky on the street with a group of friends. This guy said, quote, he got into a real frenzy. He raised his arms up and shouted, "I am Satan, God will burn." I realized I wasn't getting through, so I left. Yeah, you think? Which I would do that anyway if you tried to talk to me about religion. I don't believe in it. I would be like, you're going to burn. Get the fuck away from me. Don't talk to me about shit. One guy, one of his friends, characterized the circle of friends that he had as, quote, more of a drug cult than a devil cult. He said, one of his friends said, he played at Satan but lived drugs.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
They would often go to the woods, the Aztakea Woods, I guess is how you say it. Aztakea. Aztakea?
Don't look at me. This is where you're from, babe.
I'm not from fucking Long Island. Don't you ever say I'm from Long Island. That is no, I am not.
This is all yours.
Jesus Christ. No. So they would go there, they'd bring music and play it, they'd fucking smoke weed, and, they'd hang out in the woods. We all did that. Like everybody, you'd go as far as you had to find some woods to fucking sit in. This is our house now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is everywhere, though. This is Hawaii. This is California. Yeah. It's just there's always a place to go that's away from them.
You want a place that's your domain, your dominion. Your parents aren't telling you what the fuck to do, any of that
Oldest
shit.
Oldest person here is the same age as me. That's the place.
Yep. I can smoke and drink and do what I want here. They said that Ricky would talk about his satanic theories, but mainly he'd be like fucking,
whacked out.
He's all stoned saying some crazy shit, all on fucking mescaline and shit.
Yeah.
They said, though, he always had his acid supply was so great that he was nicknamed, and this is what everybody called him, the Acid King.
Pretty good one.
Yeah. He would even write, even on the gazebo at the Cow Harbor Park, he wrote Ricky the Acid King, which is... You're the guy who they all know is tripping all the time, and your name's Ricky, and the cops are going to be like, you didn't write that, did you? No, not me.
Not me.
Not Ricky with the pocket full of acid. That couldn't be me. So, like a lot of rich parents, they think there must be a syndrome wrong with him. He's not just, I got a syndrome. It's called jerk-off syndrome. That's what this kid's got. He's got jerk-off syndrome, also known as douchebag-itis. It's a rare condition, really. It afflicts... It's very sad.
It afflicts the most privileged, generally.
It's very interesting. It never afflicted anybody that I ever knew because we were all fucking poor shitbags. But, they found a syndrome for him. Hey, he's got a syndrome. It's good. It's better now. Phaedra syndrome. Phaedra. Phaedra syndrome.
Okay.
I don't know. The Cassos, a week before Ricky's 16th birthday, his parents initiated an action, and a Suffolk family court judge sent him to South Oaks Hospital in Amityville for treatment. I guess because they couldn't do it after he was 16, so they had to do it then. The hospital obviously wouldn't discuss it, but the parents said he was diagnosed as manic depressive and treated with lithium, so he's bipolar. They say a psychiatrist at South Oaks theorized that Ricky suffered from Phaedra syndrome, a condition. No, a condition is something that happens to you, to your body, whether you can help, or your mind, whether you can help it or not. This is a condition in which a person seeks failure as a way of lessening the expectations he feels are being placed upon him.
What?
You have to be in like the top 2% of income to fucking ever have that syndrome. Because what expectations did anyone have that you would, shrink from and ruin your life to run away from? No one had expectations of shit. Don't kill anyone. Please try to pass grades in school. That's all we ask of you.
Make enough money to pay taxes one day. That's all I care about.
Make enough money to get the fuck out of my house when you're 18. That was it. There was no one expected me to be an attorney or pressured me or any of that shit. So expectations. A way of think about that. I'm going to read that one more time. A condition in which a person seeks failure as a way of lessening the expectations he feels are being placed upon him.
Wow.
Whoa. Wow. His parents said that they thought that was perplexing, though. They said, all we asked is that he participate in wholesome activities. That's what his dad said. Wholesome. Family values. We didn't expect him to be an all-American when he couldn't be. They were like, we didn't expect him to be. They said, like, we didn't pressure him. We didn't tell him to be perfect.
It's not our pressure. It's
not our pressure. It's whatever. Ricky ran away from South Oaks Hospital 5 times during his 3-month stay.
3 months.
Keep an eye on Ricky here. One time at the hospital, he tied a sweatshirt to a shower rod and tried to hang himself.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He later told his parents about the failed attempt and told his mother, if I'm ever put in jail, I will kill myself. So it was like, just so you know. One time, to fuck with his mom, this motherfucker's evil, he pretended he tried to commit suicide by popping up at the top of the stairway leading to the bedrooms, well, after rubbing ketchup all over his wrists, and said, look, see what you did to me by keeping me here?
Jesus Christ.
His mother freaked out, ran upstairs, realized it was fake, and then he laughed at her. Until she...
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What is that? I'd love a scientist to get a hold of this guy because
it's Phaedra syndrome, Jimmy. It's fuck out of here. This is
he wants
asswipe.
Attention somehow.
Yeah,
he's screaming for attention from his family.
He's afflicted with asswipeism. It's very difficult. It's a tough thing to overcome.
It's something.
Yeah, this is a family. They're trying everything. Like you can't try any more than this. So one of the kids he knew said, he told me the way he got out of South Oaks Hospital. He bullshitted. When he went in, they believed he worshipped Satan and shit, and he told the doctors that he was fine, that he was going to go back to school and doesn't believe in Satan anymore, and he bullshit the doctors so much they finally believed him and let him go, which sounds about right. This is a girl labeled, quote, prepster girl, 17. His parents put him in some kind of hospital and he ran away from it. One day at the train station, I saw him. He dyed his hair so no one could find him. He still looks crazy with the same hair, just different color. I said, what's going on? And he goes, no way they're going to lock me up. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. Institutionalized. Yeah, that one is crazy. This song is fucking about him. That's what it is. All I wanted was a Pepsi. And then I put ketchup all over my wrists. Wow. He said, I'm not crazy. And I was like, I never said you were crazy, but maybe you need help with drugs. He said, I do not. And then he started yelling and coming closer. I talked my way out of it. I think Ricky stopped living in the 8th grade. So he said, like, I think Ricky became a
something
whatever.
Else.
So anyway, does all this. Then he comes back. He ran away, comes back with a bronchial infection.
Oh, boy.
So his parents bought him warm clothes, and he went back to the Deer Park Learning Center. He's suspended for cutting school. The CASO said, listen, you can't do this anymore. He did it again. You know how it goes here. The dad even said, quote, we tried good old-fashioned Marine discipline. We tried putting our arms around him. We tried everything.
Okay.
So here's a quote from Teen Dusthead 1. He's a great source, Teen Dusthead 1. He said, quote, Ricky took everything, just like Jim Morrison. The younger crowd was impressed by what he did. About 6 months ago, he started going to the South Bronx with a friend of mine. He used to drive in, get dusted, and drive back. After 2 months, they finally crashed my friend's car. They were all dusted out. Rick found other ways to get into the city, though. I told Ricky, don't do too many drugs, you'll be dead soon. He said, yeah, that's exactly what I want. I said, boy, it's your choice. Ever since then, I stopped hanging out with him because he would go to cemeteries and hang out, smoke 10 bags of angel dust and try to get in touch with the devil, chant Satan, Satan, Satan. He's a drug fiend. That's all he is.
Yeah.
He's a nut.
Say so.
Another, Mark Fisher said, quote, Ricky was of the devil. When he was on acid, of the devil, Ricky De Los Devil. When he was on acid, he'd go back into the dark woods up there in Aztecia, and he would talk to the devil. He said the devil came in the form of a tree, which sprouted out of the ground and glowed. I tried to question him about it, but he said, I don't like to talk about it. People think I'm nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Another girl said, quote, when the dust came to town, angel dust, Ricky and the guys used to go down to the graveyard. They'd tape themselves tripping on acid and mescaline and dust. They thought the devil possessed the tape, and they were all these, different voices.
drugs aren't for them. They like them, but it's not. They don't know the difference between reality and fantasy. These are guys that are incapable of doing drugs.
They're fucking morons. Yeah, these are the kids you have to keep drugs away from. No, you're not. No, you're not together enough for drugs.
You can't handle it.
Nope, you can't do it once in a while and have fun with it.
Ricky De Los Diablo is not allowed.
No shit. Well, let's find out what Teen Dusthead 2 has to say about this.
They found two of these guys.
I love how it's like a tag team.
Yeah.
Like Team Dusthead 1 and 2, like the Moondogs or something from back in the day. He said, fucking, quote, Ricky and this dude were in my car, and they're like, we're going to try to get this cult going. It's like it's a small business. We're going to try to get this cult going, bro. We're looking for some seed money.
We need some
startup. I got a meeting with Wells Fargo, but I'm not sure they're going to give me the loan. I got to be honest with you. We're going to try to get this cult going. Go into the library to read up on some books. We want your mother to be the leader of it. See, my mother has these powers. She raises tables. We've talked to Jim Morrison through a table.
Oh, boy.
Teen Dusthead 2 has fucking fried his brain.
It's over for him.
His mother has powers that can levitate tables and make Jim Morrison talk through a table.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Here's Mark Fisher again. Quote, if you met Ricky, he was just one of the nicest people you'd ever meet. After he smoked 7 packets of dust, we were having a regular conversation. Meanwhile, this other guy who'd smoked with him was in complete psychosis, making animal movements, karate movements. Karate. He's going into like the crane and then pretending to be a fucking aardvark in the next breath. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Meanwhile, Ricky's sitting here telling me about the fucking the Great Depression and the market crash.
Holy shit, man. The police were here, and the policeman says, you don't step on our toes, we won't step on yours. I guess don't be dicks, too. Don't fuck anything up and you can stay. Ricky would take 10 hits of meth in a night. Jesus. He would take 3. 10 minutes later, he'd take another 3. 2 hours later, he'd take 4 more. He figured it out in his mind how to take the most without ODing. Ricky is the acid king. Ricky is the He talked to my girlfriend once on the phone. She said, do you have a girlfriend? He said, no, I'm not into relationships. They never last. That's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not heavy. It's what teenagers do.
I'm not into relationships. They never last. You know, on account of I'm always doing drugs.
Yeah, always. Well, here's Mark. He continues. When he moved back home for a while, he started scaring his parents because he wrote some songs about Satan. That'll do it.
Yeah.
He'd talk about his drug deals openly. Mom, I'm going to go down to get a few hits of meth. I'll be back for dinner. Jesus Christ. Oh, his parents
get it.
Nope, his parents got fed up with it. It wasn't just the ketchup on his wrists. He put ketchup on his wrists and called down to his mother, see what you made me do. His mother ran up the stairs and he started laughing at her when she realized it was ketchup. And here's another girl from the class, from his school. Ricky sang me this song that he wrote on his guitar. It was something like A Child of the Devil. He'd put on these weird eyes and make a weird smile about it. It was cute, though, the way he did it. That's what she said. That's why Charles Manson can fucking get a bunch of girls, because you can look like a fucking maniac and go, pling, 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 strum a guitar a couple times, sing a song, and some girl will go, he was cute while he did it, I don't know. And then that's it. That's what he's going to do forever.
That explains the music business in a nutshell.
Yep.
But it was catchy.
Yeah, he's a scumbag. So April 21st, 1984, now that everything's set. Took a long while, but we had to set up who everybody is here.
Wow.
April 21st, 84. Ricky, obviously Casso, Jimmy Troiano, and a number of teenage boys and girls are at a party. It's a big Long Island fucking shit fest here. It was held at the home of a girl whose parents were out of town. Of course it was.
As
then
she
had to explain all the drywall damage when they got back, because
who among us?
A bunch of Long Island kids will fucking kick holes in your wall. They absolutely will. So
we used to jam the beer bottles through the ceiling. And
absolutely.
The game was try not to hit a stud.
Oh, God. I remember one party that after it was over, they broke out the entire front window of the house and the Christmas tree was in the front yard. That's all I remember, is it was like, what the fuck happened? It was destroyed in there. It was probably $40,000 worth of damage to this house that people did. It was like, whoa, you people are animals. I fucking left. I was like, nope. I'm not into destruction. I like to pick out a room and get stoned and laugh. I'm not going to break anything. I'm too high to do that shit.
The house was sold, so she was like, I don't care, do whatever, we're moving. I was like, oh boy.
Okay. Wrong thing to say to kids.
We're 19. This is going to go bad.
Oh, man. So
a lot of dudes left with sore wrists from hitting studs with an just an actual Miller Lite bottle from on the fucking heel of your hand and just jamming it up into the ceiling with no stud finder.
Yeah, you're gonna kill yourself. That's gonna fucking hurt.
Yeah,
big time, right through the popcorn. Plop. So to this party, Ricky brings along a shitload of dust and mescaline. That's what he's got here. Yeah. A fucking great party. Everybody had a good time. There's drugs there. As the night goes on, Ricky fell asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what he's been doing? He's probably been up for 3 days. He's in a house now. So remember Gary Lowers here?
Yeah.
Fucking old Gare.
Scab chin.
Gare still wanted more angel dust here. He wanted more dust. He's like, I need more dust. So he saw Ricky was laying there. He said he saw there was a corner of one of the packets sticking out of Ricky's pocket. So he's like, oh shit, I don't want to wake him up. So he just reached in and took it and took some dust. Now he didn't think anybody saw him, but somebody at the party saw him and told Ricky the next day.
Oh no.
Okay. How do you think Ricky, the Acid King, is going to react to this?
You stole from me.
Even though he's known him since the second grade.
Yeah.
As the paper puts it, quote, the Acid King was furious. Well, that's a bad start to a story. He used to give Gary shit for free all the time, too. That was the thing. But he said that now this little motherfucker's going to steal from me. I give him shit for free, but don't steal it from me.
Right.
So the next time they met up, Ricky said, give me my shit back, which obviously you probably don't have because you did it, or fucking pay me. So Gary started hemming and hawing, going, well, I don't know what you mean. So Ricky beat the shit out of him. Okay. That's how that went. So Gary ended up returning 5 packets of dust to him. He stole 10 packets of dust from Ricky.
What?
Which is a lot. That's a lot. Yeah. One is like, oh, sorry, I wanted to buy it from you, but I didn't want to wake you up. So I took it. I'll give you the money. Like, no, the 10 is I'm stealing.
He took all he had left.
Exactly. So he gave him 5, and he said that he didn't have the other 5 because he probably used them. Ricky said, great, give me $50 then for the 5 because that's what they're worth. So give me $50. Gary said he'd go home and get the money from his parents, and I'll just get it from my parents, say I need to do something, and I'll pay you back, and we'll get it over with. He went home, never came back. So Ricky's pissed. Over the next few weeks, Ricky beat up Gary 4 different times.
Jesus.
Sometimes by himself, sometimes him and a bunch of his friends would beat the shit out of Gary. Like Gary every time he'd see him, they'd beat the hell out of Gary. That's how it worked. Here's this is the girl who said that she thought he was cute while he played the guitar. Yeah. She said Jimmy Troiano had just gotten out of jail. It was like April. He and Ricky were going after Gary, looking for him because he ripped him off. And Albert Quinones made Ricky take off his ring because he didn't want him to really fuck Gary up. I saw Ricky walking up the street looking for him, happy, psyched, and everything. And then I saw Gary come out from behind the white church. He walks up and his jacket was ripped. He had a cut on the side of his face, blood dripping down. Maybe his lip was bleeding. I think he hadn't paid him back the money yet.
You think?
You think? She's got a bright future, this girl. Very bright future.
Real protective.
Oh, man, that's what she is. Homicide department somewhere needs her. Here's another girl who said, quote, I fixed his wounds up for him once, his black eye, and he had a bloody nose, too. He told me Ricky was an asshole. He'd bought a knife for protection, but I don't think he carried it around. Gary told me Ricky told him he was going to kill him. Supposedly, he said, last time Ricky beat me up, he says next time he's coming back for more, and it's not going to be just a black eye.
God,
so that's what's going on. So now also in April, Ricky ends up... He calls his parents. He hasn't been around in a while. He calls his parents only because he's arrested. He's arrested for grave digging.
Oh.
But not for the church, like digging a grave that's already occupied. Not like to bury
the grave or just taking what
he's
for?
Grave robbing. He's digging up graves. He was at an old an Indian cemetery, and he was digging up graves. Which if you've seen a movie, I mean, that doesn't sound like a good idea.
No.
You're going to get a poltergeist at least out of that, right? It's going to be bad.
Yeah, but if you're into the devil, I guess you can take over that? I don't know.
I suppose.
I don't know what the force is, how they rate.
I guess he begged his father to appear in court and say he's, a decent kid. He ended up not going to jail for it somehow, which is, good for him, I guess. So in mid-April, that's when he's arrested, and the charge was for violating public health laws. He dug 5 feet into the gravesite at an isolated colonial area cemetery hidden near the entrance to the Northport, Long Island Lighting Company. So like one of those little old ones around here, you know what I mean? Police said the grave digging was part of a satanic ritual and that Casso is also a devil worshiper. In an interview with a reporter, Casso said he, quote, went through a little phase a while ago where he was into devil worshipping. And then he said, I was into drugs and stuff. But he also said the police are exaggerating his involvement in Satanism because they found a picture of the devil in his wallet. What, like a wallet size? Here's my mom. Here's my little sister. She's in like 6th grade this year. She's a really good ballerina. Here's the devil. Here is my grandmother. Keep them all in there. Yeah, I picture him like in a class picture. He's smiling, the devil, smile, horns up. He's like, "How you doing?" Like, here's the devil.
Arm around Mrs. Diablo.
The blue background that they, with the clouds in it and shit.
Or lasers.
The lasers one. Yeah, that was a good one.
But what? So the charge is public health because getting body air into
I guess.
What is he?
I don't know what else, because I guess he didn't get all the way down there. They had to charge him with something. Yeah. I don't know if that's technically... somebody posted somewhere, cannibalism is only a crime in, one state. It doesn't matter. That's because the things you have to do to acquire human meat are illegal already. Right. So if you're eating it, you've already done 10 illegal fucking things to get it. You can't legally acquire human meat for roasting. That doesn't. So it doesn't matter whether you eat it. Once you get a chunk of meat, all the stuff you got it to there, that's the crime. What you do with it doesn't fucking matter at that point. Why would it be illegal to eat something? Don't need it to be.
What you're eating. I don't
care.
That's
what I mean. That's like making laws for the moon. We can't get there, so what difference does it make? No speeding on the moon. All right, great.
It's illegal to pee in public on the moon. Good.
Well, good, I guess. Terrific. Yeah, well, because it'll fly up into the air. Yeah, you don't want that on you.
It should just be completely lawless up there forever. Who cares?
Yeah.
You're not going to get there.
So one guy here said that, quote, it wasn't a cult. They never chanted. They never killed any animals. Ricky just had ideas in his head. That's his attorney said that. Come on. Gary was one of the guys who would hang around, like we said, and get beat up now. When he got arrested, he had a list of the, quote, dignitaries in hell in his pocket. Just a list of demons and shit. This is a list of like a little address book he had.
This is where I
get... Beelzebub's out of town for 2 weeks this week. Hold on, let me cross him out. I'm not going to get a hold of him. One guy here, a friend, said, quote, there's a power trip in Satanism. It says, now you can strike back at the people that screwed you up. The doctor said Casso was antisocial. Wrong. Antisocial means sitting in a corner at a party. Sociopath means robbing graves. Mm-hmm. Well, he's got the meaning of antisocial wrong. No, that's... Antisocial doesn't mean I don't want to talk to people as much because I'm shy. That's not antisocial. Antisocial is a whole separate thing.
Antisocial behavior is destruction of society. It's a lot.
Like digging up a grave.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they said.
Yeah.
That's why dumb shit teenagers shouldn't be quoted unless it's something funny. So about medical. Thank you, fucking, what was his name? Tony. Thank you, Dr. Tony, for your diagnosis. 19. Hey, Tony, come over here. I'd like you to make a complicated diagnosis of my psychosis inside my brain. Could you do that for me, Tony? Hey, no problem, buddy. Seems like, I don't know, I seen you at a party. You're just kind of sitting around. You might be a little antisocial. You know what I mean?
You're against the social things.
Jesus Christ. He also had
social norms.
He's against social norms. You know what I mean?
He's against small talk. That's what he's really against.
That's what it is. He's just fucking impatient. He's like me.
Not a big fan of where you're from.
No. I don't want to see your juicer. No, I don't. In May of 1984, Ricky has pneumonia.
Okay.
And his parents take him to the hospital. And while he's there, they seek to have him involuntarily committed as well.
Oh.
when that all clears up, let's get him up on the rack for a full diagnostic here.
Get him a good lube and tube.
Yeah. They told the doc, this is a great line, quote, they told the doctors of his grave digging, daily use of hallucinogens and other drugs, suicide attempts, jokes, and threatening behavior. The psychiatrist found Caso to be antisocial, but not presently psychotic, and let him go. So he is there's a cloud of antisocial that hangs over him, which will make him psychotic at times, but right now he's not psychotic. So what am I supposed to sit him here forever and wait for him to get psychotic again? They don't do that. So a few days after the grave digging arrest. You catch a cold when you grave dig. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's just karma. Yeah. You dig up a grave and then you get pneumonia 2 days later. Come on, man. Like, that's just some karmic shit right there.
Yeah.
You're in a hole. Anyway, the doctor said that they couldn't involuntarily commit him. The psychiatrist said that he was not a threat to himself or anyone else, just showing antisocial behavior there. So Ricky returns right to the streets when he gets out of the hospital, doesn't stay with his parents, none of that shit. One girl here says, quote, I was the closest person to Ricky. He'd stay in the clubhouse all the time. Remember her clubhouse or whatever? He was sweet. He needed help. I talked to him for hours and hours during the night. He didn't hate his family, but he blamed them for a lot of things. One night, before he had to go to court for digging up the grave, he stayed here. In the morning, he went home, and his father wouldn't let him take a shower or eat, wouldn't let him in the house. After court, he let him off in front of the Midway store. Ricky asked for a quarter. He wanted a bagel. His father said no. So Ricky kicked in the door of his father's red Corvette and dented it. Jesus. Well, you can't dent a Corvette. You can break it, but you can't dent a Corvette because it's made of fiberglass.
But there's also like a equal and opposite reaction to an action. And that's
proportionality.
Overreaction. Yeah.
Proportionality is the word you're looking for. And
that's
that is
unbelievable. He went way too far for a quarter.
So his father left and came back a half hour later and gave him $2 and told him never to call his house again or to talk to his mother or sisters again, and said he never wanted to see him again. This is what Ricky told this girl, but we don't know if that's true. That extra sympathy. My father gave me $2 and said never to call my little sister and talk to her ever again. Yeah. And she go, oh, Ricky, and next thing you know, you're getting a hand job. That's how teenagers are. That's how teenagers are. Not saying she did, but that's
all right. You're checking her temperature. If that is true, if that story is true, it makes sense because the reaction of him to his father's words are equal to the reaction of his father to his words. Like the whole family is just bubbling, and every reaction gets an overreaction from everybody.
Too much from everything. June 15th-ish, and I'm going to say ish because we have there's a discrepancy that the police that nobody can figure out that's of 2 days. We don't know if it's the 15th or the 17th because the next date we're going to talk about is either the 17th or the 19th. So,
but definitely not the 13th.
Not the 13th. June 15th-ish, either later or then. Troiano was picked up by the police and questioned about a burglary of a house garage in which a leaf blower and a checkbook were taken. And who keeps their checkbook and leaf blower in the same place? It's a weird drawer. It's an odd junk drawer. Go ahead, checkbook, leaf blower. There's all sorts of stuff in there.
It's an awfully big drawer.
There's a unicycle in there. There's a lot in there. Just look around. He was arrested. Yeah. He gets arrested and then he's released. So this is either June 17th or 19th. We're leaning towards 17th. This is a kid at the party. He says, quote, everybody was fucked up that night. It was one of those first nights school ended, so everybody was out. It was a festive night. You could feel it. We got done with finals. People were tripping. People were stoned. Gary went into the park and came back and said, I saw cats, man. Tripping. I said, sure. Maybe he saw a cat in the park, and he said, no, man, there's cats all over the place. Yeah. He was flipping out.
It's one of the last, the whole Broadway plays in there.
Everything, man, all of them, bro. I got it. They said, take the makeup off, free yourselves. He said, one of the things he said to me, well, I guess it's safe for me to come down here now. I'm all paid off. I'm good. It's safe. Then he said that he was going to go somewhere on the other side of the park, and he said, I'm going to get some beers and get fucked up. So that night, a young lady, she's a teenager. She's like 50 now, but she's a teenager. She said that night, Gary said, Mom, he calls me Mom. Why is he calling another kid Mom? I don't know.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm going back to school. I got my act together, I paid my debts, and I got a lot of friends, and I really care about myself, and I don't need drugs anymore. I'm going to start over. He says this while tripping balls.
Yeah.
Which is super easy to say.
Yeah.
You feel really good. You're like, I don't even need to do this anymore. Because right now, this will last forever.
Right.
So Richie Barton is another kid. He said, quote, I was down at the park last night. I went up to the Aztequia 3 hours earlier with Ricky and Jimmy. Mm-hmm. We tried to make a fire, but we couldn't. It was wet. Then we tried to get out of the woods, but we couldn't. There was no moon, and there's lots of paths up there, and we had the tunes cranking. Sabbath, Ozzy, Judas Priest. Yeah, you did. When we got out of the woods, I said, I'm going home to trip out by myself, which is a terrible idea. Never go trip by yourself. Jesus. So that night, Gary thought everything was fine. They're all hanging out, kind of separating into groups like teenagers do. Some of the kids are over here drinking. They all know each other, but the main four that are hanging out are Albert Quinones, Ricky Casso, Jimmy Troiano, and Gary Lowers. Those are the four, kind of the main group. They're all tripping out and shit like that. So everybody seemed to be getting along. They're being nice to Gary. They're playing fucking music and all that kind of shit. Albert comes over, Quinones, and sits down. Gary was really excited when Ricky invited him. Hey, Gary, come over here, man. And he was like, oh, really? And like not going to beat the shit out of him. So they said they were all just, doing their thing. Gary was trying to remember the words to the Sesame Street theme song. They're tripping. They're just doing stupid shit. Yeah. He couldn't remember the words.
That song?
Yeah. That's what he's trying to remember all the words to. And he was laughing so hard trying to do it because he couldn't remember. And they said he was waving at the sharks that he thought he saw in the harbor. Hi, sharks. Sunny days. What the fuck is that song, man?
Even the clouds away.
Oh, a guy came out of a garbage can, bro. It's fucking awesome.
What comes after clouds away?
Fuck. Damn it. I guess Jimmy had a bottle of orange juice. We'll talk about that for a second here. And Albert Quinones was laughing at the whole situation. Yeah. They all swallowed a bunch of hits of mescaline, apparently. And they also had smoked a bunch of angel dust and also some hash they had, too. So dust, hash, tripping, there's a lot going on here. And they had a bunch of drugs more for later. They had shit going on.
Which drug in that cocktail takes hold, though? Because you got to feel one.
Acid
don't feel
overtakes everything.
Right?
Acid overtakes it all.
Why do everything else?
Yep, no matter. Well, weed feels cool when you're on acid, but that's mainly like gives you like a little head rush for a second. But like acid will overtake everything.
Yeah, when you've got a brain high, the body high doesn't matter.
None of it matters when you're like fucking seeing trails and shit. Right. Your brain is going into a weird rabbit hole that you can't explain, no matter how hard you try to explain to somebody how you can see inside your thought, but then the other side of the backside of it while still seeing inside of it. How do you explain that to people?
What a waste of drugs.
Telling you. So Ricky says to people, if you've ever tripped, you'd know that. The Gravedigger song, Trippin', when he says, he's trying to explain, he goes, it's like, oh, God damn it, I hate it. I'm like, yes, that's exactly tripping. It's exactly the way you do it. I can't explain.
God damn it, I hate it.
Oh, God damn it, I hate it, because you can't explain what you're feeling, and it's annoying. That's the only way to explain it is, oh, God damn it, I hate it. So
I don't want to do that many things together.
Ricky says, let's go pool hopping. Let's find some pools, man. And, this is where he, by the way, had some graffiti up. His Ricky the Acid King was on the ceiling there. And they said, where's the closest pool? I want to swim. So the girl who thought he was cute when he played Satan songs, she said, that night Jimmy and Albert and Ricky came up to me, wanted to buy mesc. They were really happy and everything. They were dehydrated, or wanted me to buy mesc. They were really happy and everything. They were dehydrated, so they asked me where the nearest swimming pool was. Are they going to fucking drink out of it? There's chlorine in there. Because they wanted to go pool hopping. They asked me to go to the deli to get orange juice. I got them the biggest orange juice I could find, and they were so happy. All three of them chugged it down. They were all dosed, and they were happy. So, Ricky, another girl here, said Ricky gave Gary hits of mesc and bought him jelly donuts at Dunkin' Donuts.
That was nice.
Yeah. First, Gary didn't want to go, but then Ricky said, we'll buy jelly donuts. So he was like, yeah, and went with him.
Sounds great.
So Mark Fisher again says, Ricky had 25 hits of mesc in a little stash bottle down at the park. I was going to get beers, and I gave them my box and had my tape in it, Black Sabbath. We sold our soul for rock and roll. That's the tape that was in it. I came back, and they had left. Oh, shit. I heard they went up to the woods, and any girls who wanted to get fucked should go up there. That was the word. They said, we're in the woods. Any girls wanting to get fucked, come on over here. Not a lot of takers going for that one here. That's what this guy says.
That was the word.
So I went up to the woods. Yeah, there's going to be girls there. They're going to be leaving trails behind them. They're going to be so wet, as like the in-betweeners frothing at the gash.
I got to get up there and see what's what, because if there's even one up there, I want in.
I want in, he said, but I didn't quite make it because it was so dark. I was bumping into trees and falling down. I heard noises as I got closer, but I couldn't tell which way to go, so I finally gave up. The woods are so fucking dark.
That sounds like a fucking nightmare.
It does, yeah. The woods are so... I've been in the woods tripping in the dark, where the guy leading the way, because you can't just... We had no flashlight or anything, pre-phones, so he would flick his Bic every, 4 seconds to just light it up for that split second of the flint going off. Not enough to put a light on, just psh, so it would look like strobe lights. Oh, God, it was scary.
Every
scary.
10 feet looks like the last 10 feet. At that point, Jesus Christ... That's horrible.
So one of the kids announces there's a keg party, man. It's free. Free fucking keg party. So most of the kids take off to go to the keg party.
Yeah.
So, they go
There's
all
lights.
there. Yeah. But Jimmy, Gary, Ricky, and Albert hung back. They went across the street to a road that went into the trees there that we're talking about, these woods that we always mention here. They knew where to go in the woods, because if it's your woods that you go all the time, you can do it in the dark. You know exactly where shit is here. So they got some. They made a circle here, and there's where the bonfires are, because it's kind of the place where they always are. They're all there. The fire wouldn't start. So Gary decided to throw in his dirty socks into the fire to try to get it going. Use my socks, man. So the socks burned, but then they just burned away because they're cotton. So they just went and they were gone. So Ricky said, why don't you throw in your denim jacket? Throw that in the fire. And Gary was like, I don't want to fucking throw my jacket in the fire. It's my denim jacket. This is my burnout calling card. This is, you know what I mean? This is like my business card for a fucking burnout teenager. So Gary was like, no. And then they made a deal that, how about we'll just burn the sleeves? We'll cut the sleeves off and burn it. That'll get it started.
That'll look cooler. Yeah.
That'll look way cooler. So Ricky says, he said, all right. Gary said, okay. So Ricky pulls out a pocket knife and Jimmy cut the sleeves off. They cut them off, threw them into the fire, and the sleeves actually started the fire going.
Wow.
They worked. So good for you. Albert sat away from the other three kids. He was talking to himself and talking to the trees.
Yeah.
He was tripping and didn't even really know what was going on. He's fucked up. Yeah. He was detached from pretty much everything that was going on from here on out. Fire starts dying down some. So Ricky suggests, hey, why don't we use some of Gary's hair to keep the fire going?
What? No.
Which is a very odd thing. Gary said no, but Ricky, we'll talk about it, but they basically chased him down, held him down, and used the pocket knife to cut a bunch of clumps of hair off of his head.
Wow.
Which is disturbing. The hair didn't do much for the fire, because obviously it wouldn't. So then Gary, after all this, said, quote, I'm getting bad vibes that you want to hurt me. And Ricky said, hurt you? I don't want to hurt you. I want to kill you. To Gary. So now let's talk about what happened. Here's Albert Quinones, who's sitting on the side tripping. He said, quote, Gary already paid him his money back. Everyone was his friend. I mean, Ricky and Gary were both talking a lot, shit like that. The thing that bugs me out, man, is all of them were pushing me, especially Gary and Ricky, to take a hit of mescaline. They were all tripping. It bugs me out. I didn't want to, but I finally just said, what the hell? So I took a hit. Ricky treated us to donuts at Dunkin' Donuts. To me, Gary was being cool and shit. And then we went up to Aztecia because they wanted to go to a good tripping area, and they've got a little field where you can trip out. Yeah, you make a fire, you run around in the woods. It's fun if you're a kid. So then he says, quote, see, Ricky was getting pissed off because he couldn't start a fire. So Gary just takes off his socks and puts them in there. After Gary made a fire with his socks, he didn't want to make it bigger, and Ricky comes out with a remark, hey, why don't you burn your whole jacket? This guy's like, how about I just cut the sleeves off and use the sleeves? Gary's trying to go along to get along here, get along, whatever the fuck it is. He said it was fucked, man. So he took his jacket off and gave it to Ricky, and Gary just chopped off the sleeves. I guess he was going to make it into a vest. all of a sudden, Gary goes, I have funny vibes, you're going to kill me. And Ricky was saying, I'm not going to kill you. Are you crazy? And shit like that. I was tripping out. I was peaking. I was peaking, tripping out, which is, you're really hardcore.
Going to the top, yeah.
He said, and they were just fighting, punching each other and shit. And I didn't think anything was going to happen. I mean, I could see Ricky's point, too, which is that he was friends with Gary, and he turns around and steals 10 bags of dust from him. So they were just rolling around on the ground and shit, and Gary got up to his feet faster after Jimmy had ran up to him and kicked him in the ribs and shit. And Gary had just gotten up to his feet, and Ricky just bit him in the neck, bit him in the ear, and then he just stabbed him. It was a trip, man. I'll tell you, man, it was a trip. I mean, you sit there and stare out and look at trees, and it looks like they're bending down and shit. I don't know, man. That was a trip. I thought it was a nightmare. I couldn't move, man. My whole body, all of a sudden, it just wouldn't move. It wouldn't function. It was like in shock. I was going crazy, man. I just stood there in my place like all bugged out. He said after Ricky stabbed him, Gary took off, ran, and Ricky got him just like that. Jimmy picked up the knife after Ricky had dropped it and gave it to Ricky. And Ricky made Gary get on his knees and say, I love Satan. Richard Ramirez, exactly. It was going on at the same time here. Then Ricky just started hacking away from him, man. He just kept stabbing him and shit. And then Gary was screaming, I love my mother. It was really fucked, man. That's fucking terrible.
Jesus Christ.
And then they grabbed him by the legs and dragged him into the woods. Ricky and Jimmy dragged him into the woods. They came running out of the woods after they just threw leaves on him and shit. I wasn't going to rat them out because what's like another body? Man, it's no big deal. I mean, you see them kill once, you just don't think like they're going to kill you too. Holy shit. Yeah.
I feel
This
horrible.
is what happened. Well, it gets worse. The Suffolk County Medical Examiner said that there was between 32 and 36 stab wounds, including the eyes had been stabbed out.
Wow.
They stabbed his eyes out, man. It was hard, all over his face, back. It was fucking horrific. It was so bad. They said that it was so badly mutilated that they thought that obviously that they didn't know what the fuck happened to him. So Albert Quinones, the kid who just told all that, he said he ran home terrified through the woods. He said the next day, Jimmy told a friend of his that Ricky had killed Gary. The friend was appalled but promised not to tell anyone. Like, that's gross, but I won't say anything. So for the next few days, tons of people were asking about Gary because he's not popping up. He's not hanging out where he usually is. But his parents weren't concerned because he used to run away for days at a time all the time. So they never thought about it. And they'll be back. It's not like normally when a 16, 17-year-old kid goes missing.
Right.
You know, it's a big deal. By nightfall, there's crews looking for him. So Ricky Casso goes around bragging to everybody about this. Everybody. Like it's not a murder. Like it's nothing. He bragged. He claimed, he told one person, Satan manifested in the form of a black crow right after Gary died, and that the crow had cawed, and he interpreted that as Satan's approval of the murder. He told everybody. He told at least 24 kids about this.
Too many.
24. Weeks went by, Jimmy, and none of these kids came forward.
What the fuck?
Remember Richie Barton I brought up, the kid who said, I'm going to go trip alone? He said, he took Richie to see, he said, you want to see it? He said, I killed Gary. And he said, bullshit. And he goes, yeah, I did. I'll fucking show you the body. And he takes him. And Richie said, quote, holy shit, man. I see all these maggots on him, a thick pile of them at the top of the leaves. I said, Rick, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'll meet you back downtown. I just fucking booked it out of there. I met Ricky back in the park. He was calm, and he's like, see, I told you. And I said, I think you're crazy, man. You're going to get caught. Why'd you do this, man? He said, for kicks, or something like that. It's like now if he gets caught, I'm going to get involved, so I don't tell anybody, but I couldn't escape it. It came up every 2 minutes. And it's literally everybody. I mean, he tells fucking everybody. Richie said he was so scared. Richie ended up going and hanging out with Quinones, and they talked about it. And, they were doing that.
Albert
Quinones, yeah. Now, Richie Barton, this kid is scared shitless of Ricky. Ricky comes over and stays at his house after this.
Oh, my God.
He said afterward, Ricky stayed over 4 times, I guess. I'd be sitting down in my room, and he'd just come through the back door. He was my friend. He'd sleep on the floor of my room and use his leather jacket as a blanket. He'd get up at 2 p.m, and I'd cook him some hot dogs. Pancakes is what that sounded like. We've had Prince and pancakes referenced. Ricky thought that because they're going to build some houses up there, that they'd stumble across the body in like a year or so. And he was sort of worried that a person would go on a wood hunt and grab a stick, but it would be a hand or a bone. He asked me to help bury it. I said, fuck that, man. I'm not getting near that thing. I saw it once and that's enough, which is the normal.
Yeah.
What a normal kid should say.
Dude, you know that guy. You can't say, I'm not getting near that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is fucking crazy. He said that thing. I said, you can have this shovel and you don't have to give it back. Keep it. Yeah, once you bury a body with it, you can keep it. Go ahead. Another guy, it's like someone borrowing a toothpick and then giving it back to you. No, that's yours now. Another guy drove Rick up there to do it, and he did it by himself. And after, he just came up to me and said, I buried the body. I said, thank God. Yeah. Then the other day, the other guy asked me about Gary up at the loading docks. He's like, I think Lowers is dead. I'm like, holy shit, really? I'm just acting. His friend Scott got a call from Lowers' mother. Somebody had called her and said, I killed your son. Who do you think that was?
Yeah, wow.
I said, no, he's probably not dead. He probably just ran away. And the girl who thought he was cute while he played devil music said, quote, Jimmy told my boyfriend a week after they did it, laughing, hey, you know Gary Lowers? Oh, we killed him last week, and then went into detail. My boyfriend wasn't going to say anything to me. I wear the peace signs. No one's going to tell me about a murder. Her nickname in Rolling Stone is Peace Nick Girl. So, yeah. So Ricky told a girl that Gary was dead and that he had killed him in a sacrifice to Satan. She didn't tell anyone. He also told another kid who didn't believe the story, so Ricky told him as well. Then he just started saying, basically, you want to see a dead body? And then taking him out. 10 days go by. All this is happening. Weeks. One of the kids said Gary disappeared so often you didn't even think about it. The peacenik girl said, just offhand, I said to Ricky, I know you don't even care, but have you seen Gary? Because we talked to his mother and she hasn't seen him in a while. And he was just like, no. Later that night, we hung out for a while. He started complaining he was getting flashbacks. He didn't feel good. He just said, I had a really bad trip. He had poison ivy all over him, and I gave him calamine lotion. It freaked me out after I heard these things. I helped him aid in the cure of the poison ivy he got burying my friend. Jesus God. Another kid said Ricky just told him, yeah, everything's cool with me and Gary. And that's all. It's all good. Don't worry about it. So that was it. One guy said Gary was helping me fix my car. His tools were here, his hose was here, and some of his tapes were here, and I owed him $30. And it didn't connect that he didn't come back for all that stuff and ask for the money because he must be dead.
Yeah, that'll tell you right there that he's missing.
So July 1st is when they get a notification, the police do, of that there was a teenage girl finally calls, and one of the kids said, quote, I didn't want to get involved. It wasn't any of my business. My parents would have killed me. That's why they didn't tell. That's why all these kids didn't tell.
How James Petrogallo of you.
Yeah, mine. They didn't want their parents going, well, how do you know about that? And all this whole thing. And then look into their lives. Next thing you know, you can't smoke weed in peace. That's the problem. None of my business. I didn't see shit. So they get police dogs out and all this type of shit looking for a body. Albert Quinones said, for those weeks when I didn't know what to do, I was going crazy. I was afraid. I didn't know what to think because no one's normal enough to do that. No one's normal enough to do that. If you do that, man, you've got to have lost it. I'd think about going to the cops and just sort of, no, man, because they'd try to frame me, man. They'd set me up. Mm-hmm. This is, don't tell mom the babysitter's dead. Right. They're definitely going to call mom. Mm-hmm. I tried to avoid them, and all they did was what is this? I can't tell what that is. We hung out. They're very persistent. They would laugh about it and shit. They told so many people. They would just make jokes. Oh, Gary's dead. No big deal. Let's go get another one. They'd say, let's go up there and watch him rot. So the 4th of July is where they end up. A dog ends up unearthing Gary. Yeah. They couldn't find enough flesh for a fingerprint because it's July. He's been decomposing. They called him basically a pile of bones wearing a denim vest and running pants.
Oh, Christ. Christ.
And some Nikes. Next to the grave was the spot on the ground where it had laid for burial. So you can see where it was and then, where it rotted into the ground and then where they moved it. They said tissue has darkened and the blood has drained. The body sank into the earth. Under some leaves, the worms did their work, transfigured themselves into flies, and flew off. The bones clean to flesh, full of dents from the blade of a knife. 30 stabs, 40 stabs, 50. The eye sockets were whittled. There was no face to speak of, and this was just a kid. That's from Rolling Stone. It's fucking horrible. But they did say that the eyes were not gouged out as part of any ceremony. They were just in a frenzy stabbing him in the face, and they happened to get his eyes. That's all it was. Another kid said, I was there when he threw the knife into the harbor. Ricky did. Mm-hmm. I saw Albert and Ricky talking, and Ricky said, what should I do with it? And Albert said, throw it into the water. And then they went over and threw it in the water. I said, what was that? And Ricky said, oh, nothing. It was a rock, man. And I didn't think anything more about it. One of the guys said, see, that day, July 4th, they were out searching for the body and they found it. So they wanted to find out about who knew it. They knew Albert hung with Ricky and him, so they grabbed Albert first. And they tried to find out, and Albert wouldn't tell them anything, so that's when Albert came home. His lip was all cut. He had bruised ribs and a big bump on his head.
I wonder what happened.
Albert said, quote, the detectives were beating the shit out of me, man. See, I don't trust them, man. I don't trust no one anymore. They picked me up at 2, and they were beating the shit out of me for like 2.5 hours. They brought me down to this room, and they started questioning me and shit, and they were beating the shit out of me. They didn't tell me they were going for Ricky and Jimmy. I don't know what to think. My head's screwed up ever since that night. It's still screwed up, man. The next day, they were going to let me go because Jimmy was coming in. He looked like he got away with it and shit, playing it cool. I told them everything. Told the cops everything. Yeah. Maybe Jimmy was probably thinking that I wasn't going to rat him out. So July 5th, Albert is taken down, like he said. They end up finding somebody calls near the Northport Yacht Club. Mm-hmm. They called the police to complain about a maroon Pontiac parked across the street for too long. Cops checked inside and found Ricky and Jimmy sleeping inside the car.
Oh, that's sweet.
8 officers surrounded the car. Choriano in the front, Casso in the back. Neither of them had a blanket. Clothing strewn around inside the car. They awakened them and told them they had to come in for questioning. Casso said, you've got nothing on us. What are you hassling us for? Casso wearing his finest AC/DC T-shirt when he's arrested. Yeah. Jimmy Choriano placed in a special observation cell. Casso was not placed in there. Inmates were chanting at Casso, hang up, because he said he was going to hang himself. So they were like, fucking do it. Yeah. Do it, assholes. They started doing that. But they kept him in an unsupervised cell. Choriano, here, he gives up the full lot.
Yeah.
First interview says nothing, and here is his second interview. He says he's been read his rights. He says he's got a burglary charge coming up. He said, quote, on Thursday, July 5th, 1984, during the morning hours, I was taken by detectives to the homicide squad where I was told that a guy I know as Gary Lauer's body was found murdered in Northport. The detectives asked me a lot of questions, and I told them some answers, but not everything. Not that I wanted to lie, but not lie to them, but since they hadn't asked certain questions, I didn't offer a lot of things. I made it look like I hadn't done too much during the killing of Gary, that Rick Casso had done most of it. When I finished telling those detectives the first story, I left there with Rodriguez and Amato, those are the detectives, and headed for Northport Village. It was during this time I realized that I should tell it all. That is, how the murder of Gary Lauers went down. I knew that if I did this, I would end up feeling better. I took the police to the woods to show them where the fight had started on that night, he says maybe June 16th, around 2 a.m. Before we got there, Rick, Albert Quignon, and Gary had been at Dunkin' Donuts, and Albert had told me Rick wanted to beat up Gary, who'd taken some angel dust Gary had taken from Rick. When we arrived at the woods, Albert told me Rick was going to kill Gary. Okay. I decided I didn't care because Gary should not have taken the dust belonging to Rick. In the woods, Rick started a fire and Gary gave him some socks and then the sleeves of his jacket. Let's see here. Gary was on the ground saying he felt like he was going to be beat up or something. I saw Gary and Rick started to fight. All of a sudden, I heard Gary say, I love you, Mom. When I looked, Gary was on his knees and Rick was stabbing him in the back. I was pretty high, but I'm sure it was around this time that I went to Gary's side, and as hard as I could, I kicked him in the rib area. I know I broke some ribs because I felt that side cave in. Gary managed to run from us, and we chased him into the woods. Rick and I dragged him back, and I believe during this time we took turns cutting hair off Gary's head. I guess I cut about 3 pieces off. Rick was holding Gary as I did this, and Rick told Gary to repeat, "I love you, Satan," which Gary did even though he was really hurting. I knew that Gary had to be killed or he would rat us all out if he lived. When I held him, Rick also cut some hair off and stabbed him some more. I didn't see Albert Quinones do any of this. I guess he was just watching. I saw Ricky put Gary in a headlock, and Gary was saying something like, "Please don't kill me, please don't kill me." So Ricky stabbed him some more. Like I said, I was glad because Gary could not leave those woods alive. Ricky was saying some shit about Satan over Gary's body. He's into things about Satan and the devil. I saw Gary lift his head slightly and Ricky went buggy and started stabbing Gary in the face. I don't have any idea how many times, but it was a lot. We, Ricky and me, dragged Gary into the woods and covered him with leaves and branches. Rick realized he'd lost some of his satanic star, which was on his chain. We couldn't find it in the dark. About that time, the 3 of us left the woods. So, yeah, he does all that. So, that's what he says, basically. They went and, Jesus Christ, man.
What a horrible way to kill somebody.
That is fucking horrible.
It's torture.
So, Mark Fisher, their friend, says, quote, "My mom brings in the paper and they're on the front page. She says, 'See what your friends do? You've had murderers sleeping over at our house.'" That kid is fucked, man. He's going to have a tough time. One of their friends, this young lady, said, "It wasn't shocking, it was disappointing. I always felt like they had to prove something because everybody looked up to them. They had to keep going, keep doing things so people would think they were great. They'd wreck fences, rip down signs, beat people up. That's so people would think they were great." Yeah. That's what they would do. Great. They stole a car, smashed it up. They got carried away. One guy said this, quote, "Before the murder, I was known as a gravedigger." Totally separate guy. I did it to see bones, to see history. That's why people go to museums, isn't it? It's just something teenagers do. No, teenagers don't dig up graves normally. That's not what teenagers do. But now people give me dirty looks everywhere I was because I'm known as a Satanist. That's different. Wow. Let's see. And let's hear from the Peacenik girl. Quote, "Rick just went sick with his knife. I don't think they carved his eyes out. Rick just stayed stabbing him in the face when he found out he wasn't dead. He probably just stabbed his eyes in. Jimmy's girlfriend told me at the fireman's fair. Really, I didn't believe him, but when he told me about it, he was laughing. I feel like I have a disease." So the cops immediately say it's Satan, 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 Satan.
Yeah.
Ritual. The lead detective said they were chanting while they did this. Just before they killed him, they forced him to say, "I love Satan." After that, they killed him. Then they dragged him into the woods. This was a sacrificial killing. It's pure Satanism.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, so that's obviously bullshit. So that's July 5th at night, he confesses. 2:17 a.m. July 7th. So this is just, a day later. Ricky Casso is found hanging in his cell. Oh. He used a bed sheet to make a noose and hung himself from the top of his cell.
He did it.
He did it while the inmates apparently chanted for him to do it more while he was doing it. They liked it. They thought he was an asshole too, I guess. I don't know.
What a pretty dance.
Yep. He put it on his neck. The other put it on a bar on the top of his cell door and shimmied up the bars and let go. Pronounced dead at 2:17 a.m., so there was, funeral and all that. His mother said, "We knew he was going to do something. He always said he didn't care how long he lived. And he said, if I ever go to jail, I'll kill myself. He told us, I enjoy the fantasy world of drugs. You can't stop me. I love drugs." Remember that?
Remember that.
Yeah. They said he exhibited no undue stress and was treated like any other inmate. So they said that he may have told other people about shit, but he didn't seem too pissed off about it. They said he told a couple inmates that his name was mispronounced, but other than that, he didn't really care. Usually suicidal people aren't too much interested in how you pronounce their name, probably. Yeah. If they're like going to commit suicide in 2 minutes,
it's
they're not like,
name anyway.
"How'd you pronounce that?"
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know, though. Maybe I'm wrong about that. The corrections guard made twice-hourly rounds to inspect the inmates. They said he appeared to be sleeping at 12:30, but a half hour later, which they said it was that's when they pronounced him dead.
Right.
Then he returned at 1 and found him hanging from the bed sheet by the upper bars of his cell. No note found. The spokesman for the jail said the officers performed CPR to no avail and pronounced dead at 2:17. Teen Dustheads 1 and 2 have something to say about this. Teen Dusthead 1 said, "It's funny that when Ricky died, it was raining, lightning and thundering." And then Teen Dusthead 2 pops in and said, "My door all of a sudden slammed open and banged against the wall. It was 2 a.m. because indirectly we were the ones that got him started in this whole thing. And it was just his way of coming to my house saying, 'Hey, man, look at this shit.' Hey, man, look at this shit."
Stop doing drugs yesterday, boys. It's over for you.
Another friend said Ricky wanted to be the devil's second hand. He said he was going to chase Gary's soul and kill himself in jail. Everybody knew that. Mm-hmm. So it's like everyone knew he's chasing Gary's soul. Jesus, what are you, stupid? Basically, all of his friends said, "Oh, yeah, Ricky really was. He loved suicide. He was all about suicide. Couldn't wait to commit suicide." Like, fuck. One guy here who's 33 years old, who's not friends with him or anybody else, says he's a Vietnam veteran, this guy. He says, "I honor Casso. I admire him." Why? Because he's honest. He's another rugrat at someone's house, another one on the floor eking out an existence, another wolf in a house of wolves.
All right.
Okay.
Charles Manson, calm down.
Some kid rapped in a park about it in the 80s.
Yeah.
"Hey, Ricky, you're so fine. Why don't you stab me one more time?"
Oh, my...
"Hey,
Good
Ricky,
Lord.
You're a nice guy. Why don't you stab me in the eye?" "Hey, Ricky, you're so swell. Why you hanging in your cell?" I don't think that's really a rap so much, but that's fine. This is fucking crazy here. So let's get the quote from King Sardonic, Knights of the Black Circle. That's his title, I believe. "I have theories about when you die. I think it's what you think it's going to be. For me, it's going to be like this really classic Playboy cartoon from the 1966 that had a group of people sitting around a pool. Girls and guys are diving, I guess, and there's a guy all dressed up in a tuxedo. Has the horns on and all, like the devil. And he's saying, 'You didn't actually think hell would be all that bad, did you?' Something close to that." So Albert Quinones is granted immunity from this. Because will testify against the other.
I mean, he was fucked up talking to trees.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But he also, Ricky told him he was going to kill him. So who knows? Yeah. But it's spotty, and he seems to be the most innocent one that they could get a full, picture from. So once it leaks out that he's going to do that, he's going to testify. He said Ricky and Jimmy's friends hated him for ratting. Gary's friends hated him for watching and not helping and suspected that he'd help. So no one liked him. Oh, everyone hated him.
Can you imagine?
Yep. There's a big discrepancy over what day it is. They're saying, "I saw Ricky this day," and we won't get into that now. It really doesn't fucking matter. Now you could just see what day the kids posted pics from the woods on Instagram, and that's it. Yeah. Done. It's this day. Done and done. So
watch the video of the murder. It's all there.
That's it. The media freaks out, obviously. Here's one, the Winnipeg Sun. "Human sacrifice to Satan" in giant fucking letters. It's big. Now, in court, Troiano tries to get his confession thrown out. He'd love to get that thrown out, obviously, where he described how he murdered someone heartlessly. They also defense wanted to get access to tape-recorded interviews made by a reporter writing for Rolling Stone. We just told you about all those. April of 1985, the trial comes up here, okay? Detective here, Luis Rodriguez, he's reading from Troiano's statement, recounting other conversations with him that he had about the whole thing. Troiano admitting that he held him as Casso stabbed him and all that kind of shit. More than 30 times in the face and chest. He said when he tried to escape that Troiano and Casso tackled him in the brush, and then Casso held Lowers as Troiano cut clumps of the hair off. That's the statement that Troiano gave. But the attorney for Troiano, Eric Nayberg, says the statement taken by the cops here at an earlier police statement were illegally obtained because both violated his right to counsel. This lawyer contends that Rodriguez's interviews were conducted because the first police statement by Troiano didn't implicate him in the crime, so they kept going back. This lawyer says that he'll appeal if this guy allows this shit in. And the lawyer also said that Caso acted alone. Troiano acknowledged taking several doses of a powerful hallucinogen a few hours before and confessed at the prompting of the police interrogators. That's the only reason why. He did a Brendan Dassey. The confession, the lawyer said, was an attempt by Mr. Troiano, who did not remember the night of the murder, to, quote, fill in gaps in his memory and explain to himself what happened. It's a lot of detail to fill in. Yeah. They got a guy named Philip Quinn, a former abuser of hallucinogenic drugs and director of Topic House, a drug rehabilitation center. He testified that abusers are often unable to recall their actions under the influence of hallucinogens. Right. That'll happen. He was this guy. He gets paid $500 for coming here and saying this. This guy.
He's a professional because he did drugs.
I did a lot of drugs. Pay me money. I'll tell you what it's like. He said that chronic abusers were unable to distinguish fantasy from reality, and they would agree to virtually anything suggested by an authority figure. So, yeah, he says that obviously this is what happened. So they also say that his confession was undermined by the only witness to the murder, contradicting statements he gave to the police. Albert Quinones testified he was positive. He testifies in court, Albert, that he was 100% positive that Troiano had not held Gary down or prevented his escape.
Okay.
Now, Troiano said he did, but Albert said, I watched and he didn't. So that's they're going on. Don't believe what my client said he did. He was fucked up. Believe the other fucked up kid who watched him.
This guy
That's the defense.
was capable of murder. That guy was talking to trees, so trust him.
Trust him. So this is not a great defense, I don't think, here. It doesn't sound
two terrible witnesses.
So their thing is he watched the murder but didn't participate. Quinones and Troiano. That's Troiano's lawyer. He also said in his testimony repeatedly, he testified, Troiano, that he repeatedly said he abused hallucinogenic drugs and has a bad memory. So the jury deliberates for 10 hours over 3 days.
Oh,
seems like a little bit long, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound like a little much to do that?
That's a tough case too, because his own lawyer can't even be like, look at his face. Does he look capable of murder?
Yeah. You go, fuck yeah, he does. Look at him. More than anyone else in this courtroom.
I've never seen anyone more capable of murder.
So the verdict comes in, not guilty. He's acquitted of fucking murder. He's acquitted.
Oh my God.
Quinones has immunity. Caso's dead. Yeah. Troiano acquitted. Not one fucking person paid a drop for this fucking brutal, vicious fucking murder.
Oh my
How crazy
God.
is that? Not guilty. But there's a lining to it. He doesn't get to go free, though, because several weeks before the murder, he was arrested for breaking into that garage and stealing the checks and the leaf blower.
Right.
So he was released without bail, but now the judge imposes a $10,000 bond, which he's unable to post.
Okay.
So on October 7th, he has to plead guilty to possession of stolen property and a forged instrument, and he is sentenced to, you, sir, may fuck off 3.5 to 7 years, which is the most they can give him for it. This is in place. So this is the OJ sentence. Yep. Yeah. He gets paroled February 15th, 1991. But of course, do you think he's going to stay out of trouble, Jimmy?
This kid's going to fuck up for the rest of his life.
Oh, yeah. He's arrested in 1993 for robbery, which is worse than burglary, in Albany County, and sentenced to 2 to 4 years in prison. Okay. Paroled September 13th, 1996, and then he was back in for a December 12th, 1996 parole violation. Finally discharged January 31st, 1998, and I don't know what he's been doing for the last 24 years, but
my God.
That's the farthest we could get to him. So that's fucking crazy. God. That guy's out there, man, just wandering probably. Who knows?
Very present and participated in a murder, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I mean, technically not guilty, but I mean, use his own words of what he fucking said. He said he did. We'll just say it that way. He said he did this.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So a couple changes at the park. Not as many teenagers there anymore.
Yeah.
No shit. They had they were all the cameras, the news cameras were showing the graffiti around the gazebo and shit. One said Satan with an I, so it's satin. I like satin. It's very smooth.
My favorite color, my favorite texture.
Oh, this is the best. One said Gary Lauer's 666, so people were doing that kind of shit. One girl said it's kind of like everyone's afraid to be there. It's spooky because Gary died there. New graffiti on the gazebo walls. One says Gary lives forever, and on a phone booth, someone scratched "I love you, Ricky." So,
ew.
That's what we get there. Also, New York Newsday reporters Rex Smith and Thomas Mayer spent a long time reconstructing a lot of events and did a shitload of interviews that I used a little bit too. So Rolling Stone and Newsday, both huge stuff there. And that is North Point, New York. And quite the fucking tale of teenage delinquency, I would say the least, to put a fucking dull point on it.
Anti-John Hughes movie ever.
Fuck, the Breakfast Club could have taken a very dark turn. Let's just put it that way. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed that, let us know about it. Let the world know. Tell everybody. Get on whatever app you're listening to, whatever platform. Give us 5 stars. It does help out a lot. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now. Also follow us on social media. We're at Murder Small on Twitter and Facebook. Or no, at Murder Small on Twitter.
Right.
At Small Town Pod on Facebook.
Right.
At Small Town Murder on Instagram.
There it is.
That's how it goes. Shutupandgivememurder.com is where you get all your merchandise, all your tickets for upcoming live shows. There's a few tickets left for Minneapolis and Chicago coming up here in a couple weeks. Get those because they're going fast. It's like 50 tickets in a 1,000-seat theater. So
it's going to be so fast.
It's going to be a sellout. And then Pittsburgh and Columbus, we're coming there. Still some tickets left there. Let's go, Midwest. Get this shit done here. We're coming to the Midwest in pre-fucking spring and summer. Help us out here.
Don't make an asshole out of me.
Don't make a fucking jerk out of me, all right? Don't make a jerk off out of me. But no, those are selling fine, but just let's get it sold out and done and fun here. So
put the bow on it. Let's go.
Get all your tickets there. And also Patreon you want to do. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all the good stuff and you get access to everything, both shows, bonus content, the whole back catalog. This week for Crime and Sports, we're going to talk about the worst sports contracts in history, and that was a lot of fun. We had a blast doing that one. A lot of failure of teams, failure of players.
Failures abounds.
Failure is where we thrive. And then for Small Town Murder, we did one of our best ones ever, I think. Talked about the BTK killer in his own words. He wrote these letters to this author, and they wrote a book of basically him describing everything. It's him describing a murder. It's him describing what he's into. It's pretty fucking gross, but also hilarious. Absolutely hilariously gross. And you'll never think of Disneyland the same way again.
Never.
So do that. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you'll get a shout out at the end of the show coming up in a second here because, God damn it, we appreciate what you do for us. And so do that. And if you just want the shout out and great karma, head over to PayPal. Use our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. I think I need to hear names, Jimmy. I need to hear the names of the most wonderful fucking people. Yes, exactly. Wonderful people who would never, ever, ever get high on mescaline and stab us in the face until we were dead in the woods. Jimmy, hit me with that list.
This week's executive producers are Carrie Smith, Clay Thorson, and by the way, Clay is I can't say it enough. The donations that he sends to us sometimes are just mind-blowing. It's very, very kind of you, Clay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we feel that shit in our hearts, Clay.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's amazing. And Jordan Bennett,
Jordan
consistently
always.
sending us. It's ridiculous. Thank you.
So nice. Thank you for being so supportive and coming to all those shows, too. We really
Hot Mess Jess, look at you. Thank you so much. You guys are some of the best people on earth, and we truly can't thank you enough. Other producers this week are Jory and Karen. They closed on their new house, James. Congratulations, you two.
Congratulations.
And Samantha Quigley, Indeed. She wanted to, she sent another donation to let us know that Indeed is a wire reference, and if we didn't catch that.
Indeed. Oh, indeed. I know it.
Hilarious. I was floored.
Thank you.
She wanted to make sure that we knew. Also, Ines Ruprecht in Germany. Thank you. Liz Vasquez, Corporal Carl Kirschner, James Martyr, Mitch Cumstain, Frank the South African birdwatcher whore.
Hey, whore.
And Frank the South African bird washer, obviously. Him, too.
Of course.
Mother Jefferson, Arnold Ziffel, Happy Hour in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Damon Stevens, Sean Flanagan, Shelley Roberts and Gun Barrel, Sarah Surridge, Keith Cole, Joey Pepperoni Nips.
That's my favorite one of all. Sarah laughs at that every time. Joey Pepperoni Nips. He just thinks it's hilarious. I don't know why. It's so funny.
Heidi Bayer, James Wildy, Janice Hill, Heather Hayes is going through it. Hang in there, Heather. Jesus Christ. Don't let that shit beat you. Matthew Webster, Marcel Destin, Lucy Kimball is selling those Girl Scout cookies. You can go to my Facebook page for the link.
Slanging.
Also, everybody that donated just to say happy birthday to me, you're unbelievable. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for
It's ridiculous what you guys do for us, but I want to make sure that you understand that means a lot to us.
Fuck yeah, thank you.
More producers, James, there's a lot. Chase McBride, Don Dodds, he donated both times on Patreon. Both, I imagine, one is for a wife or a significant other or a friend.
Cool. Thank you.
Got 2 Patreons, so thank you, Don.
Shit, thank you so much.
Will with no last name, James Stevens, Zachary Grothison, TJ Curry, Pamela Deneen, Chase with no last name, Owen Hill, Shannon Lansley, Telly with no last name, Derek Haberstack, Sari Mustaine, Pam Sears, Philip Brady, Isabel Mankey, Tiffany Sawatsky, Annalena Humberg, Lita Jacquis. Oh, boy. John Sosner in Nevada Wachob, Christine Savage, Shelby Alcorn, Jeff Jamerson, Alexandra Firth, Christine Leister, Oscar Ramos, Corey with no last name, Teresa Kirkwood, Tim Olson, Rob Dobbs, Tyler Sounds Like a Boxer Frazier, Coles Zorab Kachadorian. What the fuck? How do you do that? I'll never get it. We can sit here all day. Jenny Rourke, Dave Hawkridge, Molly Thorstensen, Dave Guisto, oh boy, Barp Daddy, what? Abigail Kazel Berger, Jeremiah Armstrong, Matthew Reed, William Inskeep, Stacy Lawrence, Susan West, Tim Fox, James Hunter, Michael Harstad, Don Jenkins, Michaela Kirk, Roma Romerica Rifkin, Kellen Y, Wendy Lynn Gregg, Yvette with no last name, Ryan with no last name, Silas Fielder, Lisa Morin, Shelby with no last name, Matt Hempel, Tom Tremblay, Jocko LaGrange. Pretty badass name. Andrew Theron, of course. And that's the real Andrew Theron.
Our fucking man. We love Andrew Theron. He's coming next week to be the character, man, because we just dig him. I like him. Look out for Andrew Theron next week, swinging through a window near you.
Joe Rodriguez, Bella L, Javon Apolinar, Jay Oliveras, Inanna Line, Lauren Clark, Sane Hugkimmer. It's not going to happen. Amy Matsky Fawcett, Jared Tennyson, Artemis Martin, Jamie Frost, Emily Lynch, Melissa with no last name, Ruth Hayden, Siri Pearson, Kristen B, Canadian Logger Girl Andy, Becky Klein, Bobby Brooks, Tom Skatum, Steve Dorneman, Eric Hummel, Jackie Beck, Sean Queenan, Matthew Wheeler, Marissa Kaufman, Sarah with no last name, Scout with no last name, Neens with no last name, Jamie Ellefson, Anastasia, Penny Shikoski, Stephanie Mattingly, Caitlin with no last name, Scott McNellis, Sarah Santiago, Bria Moira Kilgore, Saxton Lump, Saxon. Ashley Peck, Bodie Van Ree, Brandon with no last name, CJ Willow, Torrigs, Matt with no last name, Jonathan Thomason, Mitchell with no last name, Sarah C., Jonathan Godet, Tammy Grubb, Crystal Osborne, Amy with no last name, Cody Estock DePrima, Jeremy Draper, Jessica Odierno, Demon Lord Draco, Chad Haygood, Liza Dippenar, Randy Rhodes, Maya Rection, Mark 71, Joni Jensen, Yamzik, Lord of the Yams. Can't do. Stephanie R, Kate Ritchie, Bo Ewert, Tess A or Tessa, I can't tell. Casey O'Daniel, like Pappy O'Daniels. Abigail Gulliver, Mike Williams, Amy Deans, David Johnson, George Raymond, Jordan Brown, Charles Nelson Riley. That's fantastic.
Great. He's going to throw glitter everywhere.
Smoke a cigarette. Joshua Reed, Maureen DeHaan, Rek A, Tito with no last name, Dave Wood, Tiana McDonald, Noah Downs, Shannon Eubanks. That's 2 fucking game shows. C. Wash Roe Hawk. Shelby Owning, Dee Van, I think, Austin Burrell, Eddie Escamilla, Paul Brady, Nick Taylor, Tyler Coolin, Delora Wilson, Jonathan Grogan, Roberta with no last name, Bryn with no last name, Dustin Delgros, Tavares Malone, James Buddha, Daniel Scott, Herbie, verse smells. Trying to get me to say her beaver smells, James. That's what that is.
I can see that.
I'm not going to do it, Herbie.
I like when you catch them. I like when
you deal with it yourself. Are you happy? You're proud of yourself? Sam Barry, Leah with no last name, Peter Vesey, McCarthy, Justin Critcher, Gimpy housewife Allie Allpress, and all of our patrons. You guys are fucking amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you so much. Honestly, we love that you love the Patreon episodes so much. We get a lot of feedback on those, and way more than you would think for the amount of people, because it's 5% of the people that listen to the show are on Patreon, and those people are as vocal as everybody else because they're so into the Patreon show. So thank you for that, and we love doing them. So thank you for everything you do. And Jimmy, how can they find us out there? How can they possibly do it?
They do it every week. They Google search, they Facebook, they Twitter, they Instagram.
They go to shutupandgivememurder.com
That's
and they
where they
find
go.
the links to all of our social media and how you could get a hold of us.
And you do it so frequently and so consistently that you keep track of birthdays and overwhelm us at birthdays. And I read every comment, every tweet, everything that you guys said. I read it all. It's impossible. Somehow this has grown so much that it's impossible to respond to all of it, except for right here. So thank you for giving a shit
so much, everybody.
that I'm 41.
Yes, and watch out for your straggly teenagers. Make sure they don't stab each other in the face. That's all we could say. They're bad fucking kids, these kids. I'll tell you that right now.
Ruined.
That said, everybody, until next week, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.